All right, everybody, welcome back to the Two Dads Review podcast. We have got a fantastic show for you tonight. I am Clay. If anybody is just joining us, I'm one of the two dads, and my colleague across the mic.
You got Corey over here. What's up, everybody?
We are super excited. This is our Star Wars, The Last Jedi. I know we've been stuck on...
I wouldn't even say Star Wars, man. This is our star-studded.
Star-studded, very true.
Star-studded
because
podcast. Joining
us today, and we've teased this for weeks, is New York Times bestselling author Brian J. Jones. Welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast,
Thank you. I am really here.
He is here, right next to
me. Here.
Yeah, we are actually all three right next to each other.
Never happened before.
Stafford.
Yeah.
Not too much information. We don't need anybody coming.
They won't know what downtown is.
You're right. There is no downtown. You're like, wait a second.
No, they'll get so lost.
Tell them to look for the liquor store.
Yeah. What liquor store?
Exactly.
So we want to thank everybody who is tuning in, especially our long-term listeners, those of you who've been here since the beginning. And we also want to welcome all of the new listeners who may be hearing us for the first time and just kind of give you a quick rundown. We're just a couple of dads who just want to talk. We talk like this anyways, so we figured, hey, we'll just throw a mic in front of us.
Might as well record it.
Absolutely. Like, there's got to be something good on here. So if you're new, you can go back in our archives on our website, twodadsreview.com, and you can find our reviews for Season 7 of Game of Thrones, this season of American Horror Story, which was Cult. We are currently in the break of Star Trek Discovery. So
yeah, that needs to hurry up and come back.
January 7th, we are picking that up a couple weeks after this podcast airs. So along with that, we did a couple of Netflix and Hulu shows. We did a whole podcast on the first season of Punisher and what was it, Future Man last week, which
Future
was
Man. And I still can't get the glass images of Punisher raking that dude's face. They're permanently stuck in there, man.
Have you watched Punisher yet?
I have not.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Face raked against broken...
In the Punisher, really, what a surprise.
Yeah, they do a good job of the Punisher punishing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Punisher.
He's eight.
It's not the apologizer.
John Barenthal is fantastic as a Punisher. Probably the best one that they've put on screen ever. That's what I think. And we also do a couple movie reviews. We've done 1922, which is on Netflix, which was a interesting episode. We couldn't stop it once we hit play, so we had to do the review on it. But it's a slow burn. And then we did Justice League a couple weeks ago. So we're kind of jumping all around. You can always, as I said earlier, you can find us on twodadsreview.com. We're also on Twitter at Two Dads Review. Pretty much anywhere social media at Two Dads Review. I tried to corner that market so nobody can take it when we get big.
Are you on .tv?
Well, true. Yeah, that would help. Then I gotta pay. Well, yeah, but they try to charge me extra for that. I was like, just .com's fine. Like, I own that one. That's good enough.
Yeah, I think a .com's probably more solid than a .org, .net.
They tried to tell you .tv was the next big thing, and I was like, I'm not falling for that. I'll get .com and .org, and I'll leave it at that.
Right. Yeah, no, I think the next big thing, the last big thing was when they released the .xxx extension, because I bought a bunch of porn names, and then I turned around.
Like, I can't wait.
And then I did. I just went in as soon as I found out they were releasing them. I just started typing in stuff and buying them, and then I turned around and sold them all. I made like $700.
So you're the one that owns Star Wars, actually.
I wish I did, because I could probably sell that one for a fortune.
Oh man, yeah, we probably should own twodadsreview.xxx just in case. You never know.
That's true. Just in case,
we don't want to make
just in case we ever get in that adult industry,
Hey, times can get hard. It's not like we make any money off this thing anyways. And just real quick, coming up down the road, next week's podcast is going to be on the Netflix movie Bright with Will Smith. It looks great. The trailers are great, and I can't wait to see it. The week after that,
see the new trailer, the latest one they released, where you actually get to see a little bit more of like what the movie is about, like with the magic wand and all that jazz.
I mean, I've seen. Yeah, how recent is that one?
I saw that one like a week ago.
Oh,
it was. I mean, there was bits and pieces from the other trailers, but it was longer. Like
really?
It was like here's kind of like a synopsis,
like their final trailer type thing. I'm not sure I've seen that. I could look it up. And then what? The next weekend we're doing what?
Are we doing Pitch Perfect?
Pitch Perfect
3? Yeah, Pitch Perfect 3. Yeah,
we're going to lighten it up. I love the Pitch Perfect guys.
I don't care, dude.
Did the second one leave a lot of things unanswered?
I mean, as much as a Pitch Perfect one.
Yeah. As much open ended.
I kid, but my wife's like, you would love this. So I'm.
Have you not seen any of them?
She has. I haven't.
Oh my god,
they're told I have to watch.
You should probably just leave right now and go watch them.
Right.
They're actually that good.
I'm sure I will next week. My Christmas week viewing.
Yeah, I just pay for. It's Fat Amy's the best part of that whole show.
Nah, man, the redhead.
The main girl. Wait,
not Anna.
The other older one. I forget.
Yeah, where she's the one, like in the first movie where she's in the shower and she just walks into Anna Kendrick's shower and she's like, "Oh, I'm comfortable with all this," and I was like, "You should be, because I now have a crush on you."
Not as much as my crush on. Oh crap! Why did I blank on her
name? Not a crush then.
It isn't. The girl from Discovery.
Tilly.
Tilly. Yeah, she's my favorite. She is right now. And then, so last thing on things in the future. If you're not familiar and you're in the DC area. Watching in DC's Comic Con is called Awesome Con, and we're going to go to that for sure as the podcast. We're going to go tool around, and right now I'm growing a beard so I can go as one of the two of Tucker and Dale. Yep. I probably should go as the fat one, but I have the red hair of the skinny one.
Yeah, you have like the face of the skinny dude and the body of the other guy.
Right, and I'm not really sure. People are going to be freaked out. So I'll just dye it black. I don't know.
Yeah, so. I'll just take the razor and just put some patches in mine, and
yeah, mine grows perfectly like his because it's not growing like it should. Anyways, enough of that. Let's talk about you, Brian. So let's do. So you have what 3 biographies out right now, right?
Yes, they're actually all still in print, which is pretty amazing.
And press fantastic. So your 3 are Washington Irving, an American.
Who's not a basketball player.
No, he's not. He's actually if you don't know and you're trying to Google it during the podcast, he's the author of Sleepy Hollow.
Correct.
You have Jim Henson.
Jim Henson. See, it's funny. I'm like the king of the Sir title. So it's Washington Irving and American Original.
Correct.
It is Jim Henson, the biography, and it is George Lucas, A Life.
Those are great, though.
They are great.
That is fantastic. Corey and I both read your George Lucas biography and loved it, and not sure I would ever want to work for George Lucas.
Yeah, I think he could be. I think he'd be a bit of a pistol to work for. I think, as they say. So.
Micromanaging.
Yeah, nothing like a man with ultimate power who likes to micromanage.
Yeah, well, didn't you love they had the Queen's rules for him? Like, do not talk to George. Do not engage with George.
Eye contact.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way he likes it.
Right, and so it's been out in print since this time last year, right? November last year.
It is no coincidence. It came out as The Force Awakens came out last year in hardback, and it is no coincidence it was released in paperback 2 weeks before The Last Jedi came out. So yeah, they know what they're doing at Little Brown.
Timing is everything. Right. Just real quick. So probably what was the most fascinating thing that you discovered while doing the biography of George Lucas?
Well, I think probably what a control freak he is. I didn't really know that arc going into it. I was a fan of George Lucas as a kid. I was his target audience because I was 9. I turned 10 that summer when Star Wars came out. So I was always his target audience. Like he even says that Star Wars is for the 9-year-olds, and I was his target audience. So I grew up with all of them, and I was always the behind-the-scenes kid. Like, I would watch all the making-of documentaries, and I would always, once we got into DVDs, I was always watching the DVD special features. So it's like I felt like I knew George Lucas and his MO and who he was and what he did, but I had no idea until I started sort of laying everything out. Because I was telling you guys before we turned everything on, that you tend to think of him in silos. He tends to be like the Star Wars guy, or he tends to be the ILM guy. The special effects fans love the ILM guy, or even the Pixar guy, whatever. But when you start laying out everything he's doing and lining up your timelines, that's when you realize how crazy his life is and how he's got, 6 balls in the air at one time. I mean, he's always doing something. He's always pitching. He's always working. He's always, going broke. So I think that was what really surprised me was just how, but ultimately his motivation on everything is to run the table. I mean, control as much of that process as possible, which is what makes George Lucas, really.
I mean, I don't think you can really fault the excellence that is, but at the same time you go, dude, I don't know if you would be a day-to-day guy I want to be around.
Right. And you get to a point in your career, like with the prequels, where, no one's going to tell you no.
Yeah.
Which earlier in his career, he had people around him that'd be like, I don't think that works. And, he was at least sort of interested at one point in the best idea, even if it wasn't his idea. But I think that started to change as he, sort of became, George Lucas. He became Skywalker Ranch. He became, he became that George Lucas. But again, that was always there, even from the time he's in college. Even if you go on, if you go on YouTube and Google 27-year-old George Lucas, you'll find this hour-long documentary of him. And here he's done THX 113 at sort of one, I don't want to call it a crappy movie because it's very interesting and artistic and a lot of people like it and respect it.
But it's an art house.
But it's an art house film. And he's just raging against the system. He's made this movie that hasn't done anything. He's just raging how the suits ruin everything and they don't know anything about it. The people who have the money are the ones who got to go in. Here's this kid who hasn't done anything. So you can see it from day one in this guy. He's just constantly pissed that the system is out. The system's out to get it.
I'm so glad you said that because I mentioned a comment to Clay. I was like, I feel like he's always mad.
Yeah.
Always mad at something. And I think that's also his fuel though.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's not just mad to be mad. He's mad with a direction.
There's a focus.
Yeah.
He's aiming at something.
Lucasfilm and Skywalker Ranch essentially are born of, of Warner cutting 4 minutes out of his film, of Universal cutting 4 minutes out of American Graffiti.
Right.
That's like the Marvel supervillains moment where he's shaking his fist, vowing he'll never, let anybody boss him around again.
I would have loved to witness his villain monologue.
Let me explain my plan.
Caught me monologuing.
I also, and it is funny that you mentioned all of his raging against control and raging against people trying to yet when he set up LucasArts and when he set up Island, he became, you lived as a hero long enough to see yourself become a villain. He became that,
the hero you deserve, not the one you want.
The HAL, he became the robots in THX, he became the ones who were overlooking it. I thought that was always great. One thing I wanted to bring up that I loved, and the first half of the book during the college type section of it, is that there is a point in time in the 70s that you could have walked into a room, into a kitchen table, and Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas, and Steven Spielberg in their early 20s were just sitting around a table shooting the shit, bringing up ideas about future projects. And those three brains in that room. And honestly, to expand that circle,
John Milius,
the graduating class that he was in was this. You compared it in the book to
John Milius called it the class the stars fell on.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and they even called it the USC Mafia. And but it's, John Milius and Walter Murch, and you've got everybody in it has done something.
Basically, every movie from the late 70s to the early 90s is just in that class.
Right.
Anything you've seen came from somebody in that class, basically, and that's scary and ridiculous and mind blowing all at the same time.
And they came from the time when USC was not the film school to go to. It was
they made
you're
it the
there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It was just it's a great read. So for all of you listening right now, stop listening to us and go pick up this book because it's fantastic. It's on paperback on Amazon. Anywhere.
And you can get the ebook, you can get the hardback, you can get the paperback. Because I got the ebook, you got the hardback.
I did.
Yep.
So it's fantastic.
You can even listen to it.
It is on
is it on
Audible?
Is it on Audible? Awesome.
That's fantastic. Who read it? Do you know?
All of a sudden, I can't remember. He's a guy who does a lot of video game voices. His name's Jay. I've lost all of a sudden. It's terrible. Sorry, Jay.
Welcome to the Ted's review.
I can't the guy who did the Jim Henson book is named Kirby Hayborn. I never forget that one, and I see him in Target commercials all the time and stuff. But I cannot remember the guy who does it. And for the Lucas book, and he's got this really great sort of voice when he reads it, but I can't think of who it is all of a sudden. It's Jay something.
We'll tweet at him. We'll look it up.
He's not on Twitter because I was trying to find him.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, we'll look it up.
Kirby Hayborn is. Everyone say hi to Kirby.
All right, so enough about you. I think we've
exhausted that.
We've plugged you enough.
There's a reason I write about other people's lives.
We understand your excellence. Moving on.
I live a life of quiet desperation.
Okay, so we'll start just a short section of spoiler free. So you can still hang on if you haven't seen Last Jedi. Don't turn us off yet and go see the movie. We'll do some spoiler free stuff real fast.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yes, you have. Don't lie to me. Don't
I was
mess
like,
this up.
wait a minute, this fool just told me you went and saw it. I went and saw it Tuesday because he said you were seeing it.
He told me Thursday or Friday, and then I had 150 pages left of your book, and I was like, I read like a 3-year-old, so I was like, I had to power through it. My tweet about 11:59. I started it when my kids went to bed at 7:30, and that was my 150 pages, and I was like, I'm done. I got it.
Yeah, the first time him and I talked about the book, he was like, I'm at page like 200, man. He's like, where are you at? I was like, I don't know, like 230. I started reading 2 days ago. He's like, I hate you, man. He's like, why am I worried about you not being up at the time?
Yeah. I'm the one I should be worried about.
Thank you for powering through.
Oh, well, it's not a hard read.
No, it's not. It's
a page turner. I just turn them slowly. It's not your writing, it's my reading.
That's a long one.
But it's good though. It's a book that keeps you intrigued the whole time, whether you're being mad at George Lucas or you're being like utterly excited by the insane amount of things that he did or does.
He's always doing something,
Yeah, and like there's just every time even from the beginning with the family, there's always something that you could go, yeah, that's a driving motivation or that's a force behind it. Like, so there's at no point where the book slows down. Like, it's just constantly giving you.
Yeah, I did read a review. Like, you're not supposed to read your own reviews, but I did see one today where someone was like, "Oh God, it's terrible. He didn't spend enough time talking about all the toys. They wanted a whole chapter on toys," which I probably could have written. But
I was gonna say you probably write a whole book just on the toys alone, though, because you can go. I mean,
it's a great documentary. Have you seen it, Plastic Galaxy?
No, I have not.
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
It's
But
all
yeah,
about Star Wars toys.
it's just, and I love that everything he did was always just like 10 years too early. The things that he did, I forgot that he was involved in Willow, like, because who directed Willow?
Ron Howard.
Ron Howard did, but well, of course, anything that was produced by George Lucas and directed by somebody else was still directed by George Lucas at some point, if not hanging over his shoulder,
squatting on their shoulders.
But yeah, I mean, just everything that a lot of his stuff became hits after, like, when I turned on TV every other Saturday and Willow was on whatever channel forever and ever.
See, I say that about Jim Henson. Like, he was right about a lot of stuff, but at the wrong time. Which, you look at something like Dark Crystal, which in his lifetime tanked, and Labyrinth, which in his lifetime tanked, and people love those movies now. It's just like,
Labyrinth is one of my wife's favorite movies.
It was just out at the wrong time.
Dark Crystal and Labyrinth my wife is the same way, just loves those two movies. And we also want to bring up, you are currently working on a new biography,
Dr. Seuss.
And that I can't wait to read.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Really, really fun and interesting guy. And I think will surprise you.
And due out in a couple years. So we'll
if I'm lucky.
If he's lucky, that's right. Keep an eye on what's coming out. So, all right, let's move on to what we're here for, gentlemen. The Last Jedi. We've all seen it. We've all seen it only once. Is that correct?
And we have to do spoiler-free.
This is spoiler-free real quick.
Just for the first 5.
Okay. Yeah, just first 5. Then we're going to...
And then we just ruin it. We just go right into everything.
Two Dads Review style is just stepping through the plot all the way from top to bottom. We'll hit every great thing that happened and every okay thing that happened throughout the whole movie. So,
and then there'll probably be a convoluted timeline because we'll forget something and we'll jump right back to it.
Yeah. there is no continuity or timeline. Yeah, exactly. We're not really good at that. We're new at this. So I guess as the stepdad of the two dads, so you can be a stepdad because you're a guest. Our guests are all stepdads.
All right.
So you walk out of the theater. Well, actually, let's back up real quick. Okay. So you kind of explained, you kind of went through this already. You were 9 when the first Star Wars came out. So
I'm Generation 1.
You are the generation that this was all built for.
Right.
Okay, just because you were the right age at the right time through all of the releases.
I built Skywalker Ranch with my large collection of Kenner Star Wars toys. So
exactly.
There we go.
You can thank me for that.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you own a little bit of acreage out there.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm be able to go in there and squat on some tile and call it mine. Yeah.
Right. So so I'm 37, so I was not old enough to see Return of the Jedi. Not really. I mean, it was, 83?
83, yeah.
And I was only 3, so there's no way I went to that theater.
And I was just born.
You weren't just born. Exactly. So that passes. But then again, I was 19 when the first prequel came out. But I do remember going to the theaters when he re-released his doctored version.
So you remember seeing the
I do remember seeing the remastered in theaters. I did go see those there. But like 98, 99, I was in college. I don't even know if I saw it in theaters when that came out. And then 2002 and 5.
Correct.
5?
2 and 5.
2 and 5. I was Marine Corps, so half the time I was in the desert, and there was no seeing anything out there for that. So all of it kind of missed me the worst time.
Do you hate sand?
I don't like the beach because I'm a redhead, but sand is...
Did that reference go right by you?
No, sand is... It depends, because the worst part is my 2 tours. The first one was Kuwait for most of the time, and that's like beach sand as far as you can see. So I had big ass calves by the time I was done with that first tour. But Iraq is a wasteland. Like it's more like Tatooine-esque. Like there's not like
when you think of dry,
right?
Like
it's too bad they can't film there because they hate everybody.
Right.
But that would be a perfect setting for a lot of some of the stuff that we see in Star Wars.
So you guys came along in the dry spell, the Star Wars sort of dry spell, like in the wasteland years. When
you were in high school when the prequels came out.
Yeah,
but you were like a soccer jock.
But when you were kids, there was really nothing. You were between the movies.
I do remember as a very young child having the Jabba the Hutt with that opened like the toy. Mm-hmm. I did have that one. I know that one is ingrained, and the is that the right name? The monster in the bottom of the pit. In the pit. Is that? I had his keeper, like the little fat dude.
The guy that cries.
I had him, and it was great. But yeah, that's we were definitely in the spell, and during that spell is when like Star Trek: The Next Generation was like massive, and like that's when I got into that stuff.
Yeah, it's a dry spell though for it not being out. But I remember when the prequels came out, like I was excited because to me it was like, oh shit, dude, I got my own Star Wars,
right.
And even when I watched it, like, to me, they're not these critically disasters that everybody thinks because I hadn't really, like, watched the original films yet,
Right.
So I kind of was like, all right, I'm going to start here, and then outside of what I've caught on TBS and stuff like that, and then I went and got Blu-rays and sat down and watched them, and, I mean... Even with starting with the prequels, I got sucked in.
Right.
And
that's what's great. That's what I love. Because it's easy to shit on the prequels. And I always get that when I talk about George Lucas. It's like I stand up and people are always like, what, do you think the prequels suck? And my response on that is they're not made for me. I mean, it's like, do I like the prequels? I think they're hokey and but they weren't made for me. My Star Wars is 4, 5, 6, the original trilogy. And for you, it's the prequels, which is, I mean, that's awesome. It's like every generation gets its own Star Wars. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even the prequels, like, I thought they were good. Like, I thought that they engulfed me into the Star Wars universe. Like, and, we can all go, Jar Jar sucks, but you know what? I'll tell you what. I thought Jar Jar was fucking hilarious. Like, I'm not even lying. I was in the movies, like, probably the only guy laughing. I'm like...
You're howling at it.
Does no one here with me on this? Okay, all right, but, like...
You walked out and George Lucas is standing there in a black coat going, son, let me pay you for laughing at me.
Dude, I wish he was, because I'd have been like, I'll go right back in, brother, man.
You're the chosen one.
Yeah.
I would still say there are large chunks of the prequels that are very relevant and very good. And that can be said for, I mean, no one has ever called George Lucas a perfect screenwriter. Like, he doesn't even like to write.
He calls himself the king of wooden dialogue. I mean, he knows his shortcomings.
He definitely doesn't know how to write anything romantic at all.
No, it is, a little tough for him.
Well, I mean, he wasn't very good at romance himself, so you can't expect him to write it.
Not a lot of...
I think that's why it's like people hate Phantom Menace, but God, when I went back and rewatched these again, because I was doing my research for the book, I just found Attack of the Clones so ponderous. I had completely forgotten about that. And it's so funny because, like, I came out of politics. I worked in politics for 25 years. But when I was a little kid, or I guess maybe even in my 20s, when I was watching Star Wars and they have the line in there about, like, we've returned power to the local governors and the Imperial, and you're like, oh my God, that would be so interesting to know the politics behind all this. Well, it's really not.
Right. It is 2 straight episodes. It is 2 straight episodes of politics.
I mean, who wants to go to the moon and be like, oh, I hope they discuss trade taxation. Right.
Which is interesting because for the, high schoolers and under who are watching the prequels, between the double, you had to have a double lightsaber because you're literally talking politics the rest of the entire fucking movie. It's like, oh, it's just more politics.
That's probably why they got shitted on so bad, because my whole generation don't know a fucking thing about tax code or fucking tariffs or free trade or any of that shit. They're all, what?
Yeah, it's...
I was telling Clay that was funny because, like, again, coming out of public policy and stuff, when I got to Star Trek Deep Space Nine, I was like, I don't want to watch Klingon politics. I'm just like, I don't care about Klingon civil wars. Ugh.
No one likes it. It's okay. So we kind of know where we all
So
stand.
our expectations, is that what were our expectations going into Last Jedi?
Well, more like as each of us exited the theater. Because, well, okay, you want to talk expectations? We can. No, let's do that, because you're right. There's a whole chunk of like her holding lightsaber out at the end of Force Awakens, and just everybody for the next 2 years just smattering the internet with every idea possible. So yeah, well, expectations going into the movie.
So I was expecting more of a Luke as Yoda type thing. I was just thinking, okay, this is gonna be, him training her. I was expecting him to die, because that's kind of what I figured. We've hit that point now where we're going to start advancing the ball by killing the original cast. So I was waiting for that. But I had actually forgotten until I watched The Force Awakens again the previous weekend that we left on sort of the cliffhanger of Finn and stasis. I'd forgotten about that. So I hadn't really thought too much about the rest of the story. I was mainly focusing on like what's going to happen with Luke, and I had actually managed to stay spoiler free going into it. So I had a hard filter on my
for
Twitter.
A whole 3 days.
Yeah, I had a hard filter on my Twitter feed, which actually kept most of it out. I was pretty impressed that Twitter worked.
Nice.
Facebook I stayed off of because everyone's like putting their pictures up of their tickets and they're so excited to go, and I'm like, someone's going to blow it. So
yeah, I didn't filter my Twitter, but I didn't run across any spoilers. I just ran across people going, "Fuck this film!" Like,
I know,
and there was a lot of that.
The negative is so.
Like, I made a comment to somebody that I got in a conversation with on Twitter that was like, I told him, I was like, man, as much negative publicity as I've already heard about this film, like, it almost makes me just not want to go to the theater and just wait till Blu-ray. Like just the vibe that it had pushed out so bad.
Weird. See, because I didn't see any of that because I had my filter on, so I didn't see any of that.
Right.
That's interesting.
And I asked you before you went. I asked you if you'd heard anything because I was afraid that you would have seen. I mean, it was all over the place. Everybody going nuts about hating it, and it was like, and I don't understand. I don't get it. I didn't hate it at all.
I didn't either.
No, nor did I. Like, I think my biggest gripe is it didn't engulf me, even like, you didn't lose
the
yourself. Prequels did. Like, at no point in the film did I realize that I wasn't in a theater.
See, I'm older than you guys, so like all the nostalgia buttons it pushed all worked for me. Like I found myself getting weepy more than a few times.
I was. Don't get me wrong. There was a couple of times in there where like I was an emotional wreck. Like I'm sitting there like looking like, am I honestly about to fucking tear up right now? It's like shit. But like certain movies you go watch, you just kind of forget what's going on around you, and you're just that 900 inches that's in front of you, you're just sucked into it, and you're like, whoa. But at no point in this film was I like that. Like, there was parts where I was like, cool. And then they did something where I was like, well, now you kind of fucked it up.
Wait, why?
Yeah, like, why did that just happen, And I was like, maybe I don't remember something previously, or that's just the way it was written. Like, I don't know. So, but... Right. I still walked away like clicking my heels and feeling good about it. I was like, I don't understand why everybody was complaining.
Yeah, I would say coming out of it and during the view, like there were plenty of weepy times for me. Like there was a lot more emotion than I've probably shown in a Star Wars movie ever. Like the original trilogy, while fantastic in their own right, like I never know that I'm gonna hit a spot and tear up every time. Like Yoda dying doesn't make me tear up. I think anything that was written to be that way doesn't really hit me with those. But this one and some of the nostalgia stuff, even from Force Awakens, both times, like I was like, I'm getting teary way too often in this movie right now, and I'm hit. I know enough that I'm like, yep. Okay, I'm good. I'm supposed to be crying. That's cool. I'm fine. But I didn't. I think coming out of I walked out watching the movie. It's fantastic. I was like, this is fantastic. This is great. This is what how can people? And this is I can't wait to talk about. I can't wait to look on the internet and see all the good reviews and see all the stuff that I missed.
Well, that's funny because there was nothing but good reviews right after the movie came out, and then all of a sudden it was like somebody somewhere was like, I don't know what the fuck everybody's talking about, and then all of a sudden everyone went, oh, well, it's easy to shit on stuff. Let's hop in here and do that.
Plus, it's the middle chapter. I mean, that's the thing, too. It's like the middle chapter is always going to be, open-ended, leaving you questions. I mean, that's the purpose. It's a trilogy. That's the purpose of the middle chapter. You want to clean up some of what went before, and then you want to open the world up.
Yeah, I mean, the door should always be left wide open in a middle film.
Saying that, I wish that more time had been covered over the course of the entire movie, not the movie being longer.
Chronological
time. I felt like it's the middle.
You call it an episode of 24, which is like
they could have literally done it like a 24.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect analogy.
May have been 2.5 hours. If we're talking how fast we're traveling light speed, how fast we're getting certain places, like it may just have been an episode of 24 because they really don't end up too far from where they started.
Well, and you do feel like it was all kind of in it because they're like, well, they have enough fuel to last for 16. So you're like, so this would happen in a day.
I mean, it was a very short amount of time covered in the movie itself. Okay, so where does this rate in your? Do you have a rating of like best to worst when it comes to Star Wars?
It's funny because I was having this conversation with somebody on Facebook the other day on it because they were trying to argue whether Rogue One was not in canon. I'm like, what are you talking about? Rogue One's canon.
I loved Rogue One.
I loved Rogue One too. So I think I put it.
You can stay in my house.
I always have. For me, first Star Wars is always my number one. I love Empire. Rogue One for me is up there in the top 3 or 4. I think I would put this up there in the top, maybe number 4, ahead of Return of the Jedi. Yeah,
I'm actually gonna have to agree with you on that one. I would probably put the original Star Wars first, and then
there's debate. People are like, it has to be Empire. You're not a Star Wars aficionado, but I've got the soft spot for Star Wars.
You have to, Star Wars is number
one.
It's the one that birthed it
all.
Star
Wars aficionado. You got a fucking T-shirt on, man. Like, what more do you need?
I didn't put mine on. Okay? I went upstairs. I wore it to the premiere. I wore it to when I went. I went Friday morning. I didn't go to I have kids. I'm not going to the 11 o'clock at night, but I went to the 11 a.m. one. First one.
Yeah. Give me that first morning showing, baby.
First one they showed on the extreme screen, which because there was like a 10:30.
That's that one that wraps a little bit more, right?
Well, it's the one that the screen is every bit of that wall you're looking at is all screen.
Yeah.
Awesome. And there's better audio, which we know how especially after reading your book, I was like, I know the audio has to be on point,
right?
Because that's the big
someone
deal.
made it that way, right? So anyway, I put it right up there. It's 4 or 5 out of all of them. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
And I'm not sure that if I have a chance to watch it and digest, that's going to change any at all.
I can't wait to see it again. I want to now that I've taken it in once and had to like go through, like I'm having to remember what I've watched with one shot through. It's hard to figure out.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that movie.
So anything else non-spoilery anybody wants to talk about, or shall we just
let's go ahead
make everybody turn this thing off?
Tired of beating around, man. Let's just get into it.
You know the thing that happened?
Yeah.
Right, that one
Let's talk about that thing.
Okay.
The guy with the thing.
We can't say this any louder. Spoilers from here on out. Stop if you have not watched the movie, or listen and then go in, so you can pay more attention to all the other nuances that are going on. Because I know half of us miss stuff just because it's the first time through. You're too busy being giddy to like actually pay attention to what you saw. Okay, so let's see. Act 1 picks up with does Act 1 start with Poe on the phone? Is that how it starts?
I think so. Yeah.
Or so we do.
Do we start with base evacuation? We might.
I know that Poe's whole point of this is to stall.
Yeah.
He's the first one out the gate, and he's hailing. I don't know if there's a better term. That's a Star Trek term. Sorry, but he's hailing the main ship that Hux is on.
It's a very modern moment, actually.
It
was like, I don't want to say it was like almost out of sync with it, but it was like a very modern moment.
Did that bother you?
But that's the thing that this movie did.
That's what throws some of those.
And I think that's what's throwing a lot of people off. Like I'll just jump like way ahead.
Okay.
Like so in the scene where Kylo is given his commands to just basically like tear down the rebels, just fuck it, get rid of all of them. His commander is repeating everything he says, and then he just does one of these sideways glances at him, like, "Are you seriously gonna like keep repeating everything I said?" In the middle of this massive battle,
right?
And I think little things like that are really throwing people off, going like, all right, look, dude, like I get it. You know, you're trying to bring in some comedic value in here and stuff like that, but this guy is so hell-bent on destroying everything in front of him. At like, what point is he going to sideway glance his commander? Like, he would have just done one of these and threw his ass across the room, you know, or something like that, which he eventually ends up doing. But it's stuff like that. And like in the very beginning where he's like, hello? Please, are you there? Are you there? Like,
can he hear me?
That's hilarious. Yeah. But I think that kind of stuff, like the Star Wars community is like, what? Like, they're not, just not grasping it, I think. And I think people are using that as a negative where I think it should be as a positive.
But I mean, you know, and I agree. I mean, Star Wars has always had that element in it. People forget. I mean, like the laugh line in Star Wars is, you don't need to see his identification. I don't need to, like, it's like, there's a laugh line right there.
And I think it was like, maybe it's the tones or something, like, you know, cause I remember the Star Wars when I watch them, I always felt everybody was serious.
Right.
Even if there was a joke set in there, it was in a serious tone and like, you know, it's a parent joke. Like, you know, like in a kid's movie, you know, it's like a parent joke in a kid's movie and you're like, ha ha, I got it. Where in this one, like, there was full blown like comedic acting like going on a little bit. And I think that's kind of killing people a little bit.
Go ahead.
And you can't, and I think that's what's killing the fans of the original trilogy is that what's funny in 1977 is not funny in 2017. So the humor is going to change over time, and they don't want it to.
Right.
They want it to be the same robotic
just
writing that it was.
Set in their ways, you know,
Right.
like this is how it should be. This is my.
Well, it's like we're saying, like, everybody's got their Star Wars now. It's like, and the franchise is evolving. Let it evolve. Lucas gave them a great big. You know, I was saying earlier, like one of the best gifts Lucas gave fandom is a gigantic universe for creators to play in. Let them play.
Yeah, I
was reading it's like, okay, so the tone is a little off, but you know what? It's evolving. I mean, it's snappy. That's what we like.
Article the other day that they were saying that Star Wars fans may not like the new Star Wars because it is too inclusive.
No, yeah, I saw some of that.
And I was like, how can you fuck up too inclusive? Like, what does that even mean? Like, are you telling me, oh my God, we're now including different races and different religions and
well,
by the way, we're in a made up universe, so whatever things you're associating with these people they're not fucking real, man. Like just because that person may be Asian doesn't mean that they're practicing fucking Buddhism or whatever the hell like you think that they're doing. Like, you got to take it for what you're seeing on the screen, and I think people are trying to put real life connections to this beautiful, wonderful, wide open, made-believe universe, but they're trying to put real life into it. It doesn't work that way.
Right. And there was plenty of modern humor in Force Awakens, and you didn't hear nearly...
Well, and if they hadn't done it, you know, then you're going to have people saying, well, Star Wars takes itself so seriously, and it's just a space opera where, you know, so, you know, then that's the complaint people like me have about Justice League. You know, things like stop taking it so goddamn seriously. It's superheroes, this guy flying around. Star Wars is not taking itself too seriously, and it really never has. So it's like people they've got to stop applying these weird conditions to it.
Yeah.
Don't be upset because it's not,
that is a great.
Don't be upset because it's not the movie that you wanted it to be. I mean, let it
if
be.
You want to make if you wanted a movie to be your way, go make a fucking movie.
Go write slash fiction, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. And let's not forget that if the movie came out and was the way they wanted it, there would still have been bitching anyways on something else.
Well, and the worst part is, if it would have been a movie made the way they wanted it, it would have been the people that wanted it made that way bitching about the shit the way it was fucking made.
Right.
Like,
you just redid. It would have been. Were you scared of that before you walked in that it was good because they're
gonna remake Empire?
Right, because Force Awakens was a pretty good retelling of the original in a lot of beats. And you have, were you worried you're going to be like, oh God, are they just going to just retell all three of them? I mean, and there was certain elements in this one that were very Empire-esque. I mean, certain, like, you have an old master teaching a new Jedi, that kind of stuff.
And you did have the gigantic sea anus, which is sort of like the sand vagina you had in Return of the Jedi.
Very true. Yeah. We'll get to the sea anus.
You didn't have the tree, but you did have the sea anus. So, yeah,
okay,
a little bit of that,
so moving forward in the plot, so Poe has done his stalling enough.
Which is great. I love that.
I think that was a great way to open the movie.
And it kicks off. He was doing some sort of data transfer or something, or he was doing
a lot of hacking going on.
A lot of hacking, and it was all to get the bombing run to happen. because the bombing run happened before the jump to hyperspace.
Right.
So there's a whole chunk of, and they're not even Y-wings. They're like a new. I don't even know. I didn't look up because I don't do any research before this podcast happens.
Why would you?
Whatever the name of those new ones were, those bombing. They were cool, but
they were cool, but they were so slow.
I know. It's like, okay, I understand tension, but shit, someone step on the gas. Are they that?
Oh my God.
They're bouncing around.
Why do they have to be slow? I didn't understand.
Because
there's no weight in space. I know they're full of bombs, but there's no gravity.
Well, there's also no sound, but we're hearing explosions.
I know.
Come on. It's a make-believe universe. Quit bitching about it. So it's not stream. It's not stream.
But tell me it wasn't cool though. Speaking of the bombs, that when they finally go off and you just got to watch them all just slowly drain out, where you if you weren't going, well, that was the coolest fucking like cylinder objects I've seen fall out of the sky in a long fucking time.
Right, and it was very and you'll get this. We'll both get it. We all read your book, so it's very like World War II bombing shot of those bombs dropping. Like, and we knew that Lucas. That's what he based all of his X-wing fights off. All of his space fights were off of old World War II.
Tora, and all those old black and white
films. Yeah, and it was what Rose's sister was the one that got hers to go before she bid it.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
It was a very good touch. It was. I liked the necklace because I was like, why are we seeing this necklace? Like, this is gonna be important.
Chekhov's gun. Yeah,
right.
We're gonna see this again.
So, bomb run happens. They destroy disable or destroy the one of the. Was it the biggest one this time? Was that when they went after?
Seems like they're always destroying the.
The Dreadnought.
Yeah, was it the Dreadnought at that point? Because I feel like the first act was like 30 minutes. Like because we're not even to Leia in space yet.
I'm still now that we talked about the Poe thing, I'm still trying to remember like what he was actually charging up for.
But then he disobeyed orders because something happened, and so the bombing run had to happen because he was staying out there, or they.
Well, no, because he was like, I have one more
to shoot out.
Because he was taking the cannons out.
Yeah, he was taking the cannons out, and then they sent out all the fighters after him, and they were like,
"Oh man, what about that turn he could at that last
dude at the end? We're like, I'm gonna do it." Where he was like, he just. Boom, man!
It was actually like that one in The Force Awakens when the cannon goes out on the Falcon and she like pulls it up and drops it. Like it was a moment like that. I was like,
I could have one of those every movie. I'm good
that
with
is super cool.
So so after he disobeyed orders, what he did worked, and they were able to jump to hyperspace. And usually, you're perfectly fine because you can't be tracked. They can't trap a warp signature because it's not Star Trek, so they don't know where they're going. But it was literally like. Do you watch Battlestar Galactica? Do you know of it? There's an episode.
I watched the original Battlestar Galactica.
Yes. I've only watched a few episodes.
It's a gang that couldn't shoot straight.
I've only watched a few episodes of like the new version. My wife and I like years ago were like, okay, we're gonna do this because we like Star Trek. Or we like this. Let's watch. We didn't get through that many, but I do remember like I think the first episode is called 33, and it's an entire episode of where the good guys jump into hyperspace. When they hit there, the guys chasing them are going to arrive 30 seconds later, and it's continuous. So it's like everybody's at the end of their wits. They've been up for hours, for days, and it's kind of what it felt like. I listened to another podcast or YouTube or something that they were comparing it to. And I was like, oh, I remember that episode. Like it was it was one of the episodes when you're done, you're like sweating. You're like, oh God, what did I just watch? Like, I feel tense now. But so we know
it's like the Next Generation episode where the Enterprise blows up every 15 minutes.
You know what? So shit, we're gonna go just for a second. There's an episode of Discovery that does a time bubble like that.
Right, see, they do time travel great on Next Generation.
I made him watch that episode of Next Generation because that is one of my top 5.
Mine too.
I mean, on top of like there are 4 lights that episode.
Oh yeah,
and the one where he lives and then the one where he lives the entire life with the flute like that. Those are like those are all of the ones. That is our favorite, but there is one like that. But yeah, okay. Sorry, we're not going to Star Trek anymore. I'm sorry.
I'm the one that pulled the focus. I apologize.
Okay, so when the bad guys catch up, they launch all of their fighters and proceed to attack all of the major vessels there.
Right, again, including Kylo now in what's essentially the Darth Vader TIE fighter.
Exactly.
With the bent wings.
Thank you, sir. Reload. We're going to be here for a while. Everybody buckle in.
I was like, I'm already getting dry. I was like, I gotta go get fluids.
And we get the during all the TIE fighters attacking, Kylo has a shot on the bridge.
Right.
And you have that back and forth. You see his face. You see.
Now I will tell you, after seeing the second trailer for it, I did expect that Kylo was going to kill Leia. I was waiting for that.
As his final, like, not hesitation.
Yeah.
But he still hesitates.
And
And they are feeding, they are, like, just hooking us, like, they're just telling us, like, he can be turned. He's not all bad. Right. I'm not sure if we get there by the end of this because of what happens later on, but so he hesitates to shoot the bridge, but his buddies hanging out with him do.
Take it out.
And then everybody on the bridge is sucked into space, including, which is one of the big things that all the nerds are hating is that, not the nerds, we're all nerds, I'm sorry, but all the ones who are hating on it is that General Akbar dies.
Fried calamari.
And you don't, oh nice. Hashtag fried calamari, that's going out there. And everybody felt like he has been such a
little bit of an anticlimactic. But
yeah, like he just sucked out behind Leia because everybody's too busy focused on like.
That's what she said.
So everyone's focused on Leia being sucked out into space, and we were all because that Carrie Fisher has passed. We were all kind of like, how is her story going to end? Right? Are they going to end it with a big? I mean, are they going to do this now? When you said we're all pretty sure that Luke was not going to make it past this either. And it's very apparent that they had a plot for her for the next movie.
Yep.
And that's sad.
Yep.
That's really sad. So if they don't open the next, here you go. If they don't open the next movie with a funeral and jump a little bit of time.
It'll be like that last episode of Brady Bunch where they're like, oh, your father couldn't make your graduation. He's on a business trip.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
We had to fire Robert Reed.
I want to know, that interests me more than anything because and there are numerous moments in this movie where they could have chosen to just kill her off, but then you wouldn't have got what happens at the end. And I don't want to talk about that now because I'll start crying. Right. So we're going to wait to the end because when I mention the line, I'm going to lose it more than likely. I'm getting a little twitchy right now just talking about it. So they're all sucked into space. I know. I'm a little verklempt. Just talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, they could have given her the Admiral Holdo.
Right, exactly. But then we wouldn't have gotten her scene with Luke. But yeah, exactly. So...
Do you think they'll just CGI her?
Oh God!
We'll do that at the end of this. We'll do a little bit.
I'm wondering if we don't have to get to it yet, but I'm wondering if there's like stuff that ended up on the cutting room floor. If they're like, we could piece something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then probably have a full blown CGI version of her for said death scene.
Maybe, yeah.
Right. You know? And I wouldn't mind if she went out the same way Holdo did because that's the fucking way to go out right there.
That was pretty
awesome. It was so awesome. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen with all the sci-fi shit I've watched. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything go to warp speed through.
I would like to think that that's like the Holdo maneuver. That like we've never seen that before in any of the other movies. Like people are like, why did they never use that against the Empire before? I'd like to think like she just came up with that, and like now that'll be like the Holdo maneuver.
Just this side of the universe. That's So what do you think about Super Leia? Because I could just think of as anything from Superman. Like it's when he's flying out in space.
My initial reaction was, what the fuck's happening? Like, because...
Did you know she had...
Okay, I knew because she's Luke's sister that there's probably a flickering flame at best. But in this scene, when she's like, I'm just gonna fly my way back, I was like, well, you just may now be most bona fide badass in all of the galaxy because apparently... being stuck in wide open space has no effect on you whatsoever.
Hey, if she held her breath, man.
The screaming, sucking void of space, right?
Exactly. But, all she has to do is pull just a little bit because you're in space. We're not talking about no sound. If you're in space, you get a little bit of a pull, and you'll go, and nothing's going to stop you.
Yeah, but I mean, if you, break down the time she was on that scene, man, she'd be dead. Especially with the explosion that popped out. 1, she'd be concussed. 2, she'd be floating out in fucking space. 3, she'd be freezing.
Right, she had to be awake the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Force protect herself and force bubble or however she did it. Like the Invisible Girl always had like the invisible bubble.
So when that scene happened, at first I was like, who is pulling her back in? I didn't think it was her.
Right.
Because the arm went out and everything before you kind of see her whole face. So I was like, somebody somewhere, which honestly I thought it was Kylo at first, was like, I see that. I didn't kill her. These fuckers went and blew this shit up. That's still my mom. I'm gonna bring her back in. Mm-hmm. And then you come to find out, no, that's just her being a badass.
Maybe it was like the moments before she died. The Force doing its thing.
Could be.
That I've heard that as well. Like it was like she maybe didn't know. I mean, and for all we know, we don't know if Luke ever tried to work with her. to see what kind of force, if she had any force powers or was able to utilize them or something. Maybe that's all he taught her, was lifting a stone. You know?
Yeah.
All you gotta do is get that little pole.
He's like, hey, just in case you ever end up out in space by yourself, this is what you need to do.
Put yourself by the door that the main characters happen to be running by on a giant calamari-style cruiser. So Leia is okay. She's unconscious.
That didn't. I'm thinking about that. That scene didn't bother me. I know. I guess people are upset about that.
It didn't bother me. I was just confused.
No, I know.
I
didn't bother me. I guess
yeah.
people probably online are upset. It didn't really bother me. I didn't even think about whether it would set people off. But.
Which actually made me, when that scene happened, I really thought then we were going to get a little bit more of the Force Leia, but it was kind of like, no, I just used my reserves. Yeah. This is what I
because my reaction was like, for a little bit, I was kind of like you. I was watching like her hand open, and then when I realized it was going, I went, okay, of course.
Yeah. Like, of course. Like it dawned on me, and I was like,
I can buy that.
I guess she's stronger than everyone
Yeah.
realizes. You know,
that's why she's a general. She's not the princess anymore. She's a general. She's badass.
So her being unconscious, she is now replaced by, as we mentioned before, Vice Admiral Holdo, played by Laura Dern from Jurassic Park.
Yep.
And many other things. Twin Peaks, that's correct. And
apparently she may be making a guest spot appearance in the new Jurassic Park film. She dropped a little tidbit about that.
Nice. I did not see that. That's right. They are in production right now? Or is it already done? Are they finished?
I think it's one of those movies that comes out like next year, so they're probably in post.
Yeah. So she's in charge. Her and Poe don't get along real good.
Right.
She's one of those leaders who doesn't like to tell anybody anything. Like, I had this entire plan, but you're way too beneath me to even sit here. And
I don't even know if
Barney style it for you.
I mean, do you think it was that, or do you think it was more of like, if I let everybody know, I'm going to put them into a panic? Like, is that I'm doing the dick move for the greater good, or is that just her personality? Where I think because the fact that she just like sacrifices herself, and at the end she makes the comment to Leia where she's like, "Oh, I like him too." Right. You know, so I think that was more of her being like, "Okay, we just had a whole bunch of shit go down. Like, I got to keep everybody level."
Well, the whole point of her not telling him was so we could have 30 minutes at a space horse race.
Well, that's true.
That's exactly the only point of her not telling the plan is that we had to fill another 35 minutes.
To advance the plot.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Because you're already blowing half to shit. If it's like, look, they're just looking for big things.
But don't you think that like Poe led a mutiny much quicker than you expected?
He turned quick, but they're used to resisting.
He must be related to Kai.
It's like, I was surprised. I was like, oh yeah, we'll go along with that. Like really, really quick. That happened really
Finn was already
quickly.
out the door, so I mean, he was like, sure. As long as it's not here, let's go somewhere. Mm-hmm. He's like, rich space horse dog thing race, go do it. Fuck, let's go. So he was, so they've hatched their crazy plan that there's and Finn apparently has mopped every fucking piece of every ship.
He knows where every toilet is.
Every toilet, including the one next to the hyperspace tracker. So... And I did not verify this, so I'm going to...
Do you think that's just clone knowledge, though?
These aren't clones.
They're not clones. They make a point of that in Force Awakens.
Oh, that's true.
They're just raised from birth.
Because somebody's like, should I start my clones, get my clones again? They're like, no, it's cool.
Yeah, my stuff, as Hux, he's like, my troopers work. They are raised from birth, or they're taken at a very young age. Where was I going?
You just think that's just... either whether clone or not. I mean, what I'm saying is, do you just think that's just preemptive, like... You're on this ship, you have to know it, like, because of what they do. Like, they could be on any part at any given time.
Well, I mean, he's the only... I'm not really sure there's...
I'm just chalking
it
up...
different if he was chief engineer versus just the head custodian.
Right.
You know? I would expect the chief engineer to know everything, but...
Yeah, and he knew everything about the planet back in the Force Awakens.
Super genius.
I mean... But I do want to. What I was going to bring up is that, and I did not verify this, but I saw somebody with the screenshot on the internet, so I'm sure it's true. But while Jen Erso is scrolling through the database looking for the right file to pull from that giant column of climbing files, one of the things she scrolled through, she says transwarp tracker. Like one of the file names is labeled that, but I did not go back and watch that scene to make sure she said it, but someone had like this is
when you hide that like in your C drive under like Windows System 32,
work stuff.
Yeah.
So it was kind of if that is true, someone tweeted us, tell us if that is true from Rogue One, then this has been in play for many, many years, and the fact that it exists is kind of cool. And I do like when different movies, like especially the Star Wars universe, they're showing cohesion enough to like put that little, hey, part of the plot of this entire movie is transport. Can you please put that like somewhere in your movie? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you've got 50.
Put this Easter egg over here.
Yeah. How many years from New Hope to now? I mean, he's old, so 40 years.
Right.
So they've been practicing this technology or been working on it since way back then. So that kind of puts a little bit, because one of the other nerd things is like, this would never, why are they, you can't track in hyperspace or whatever. So.
I like how we all know the rules of hyperspace and
right in your fake universe with your
exactly.
With your,
I can barely answer a fucking email day to day, but I got tracking in hyperspace and warp drives and all that shit.
It's like we needed to get the spaceships to place fast. Just say they warp. It's warp drive.
So that is only Act 1. And that's a long ass chunk of that movie too. That was like 30, 40.
I think that was like when like I looked at my phone at one point when like, how long have I fucking been here? Because I was like, I feel like I'm already running out of time.
All this shit is already happening.
Yeah, like I'm already running out of time.
I didn't even see Rey once.
Yeah.
And so we pick up Act 2 is literally where we left off at Force Awakens.
Literally, yeah.
Holding the
lightsaber out.
And you get like serious Mark Hamill playing Luke Skywalker, and then just chucks it over his shoulder.
I thought that was great though.
I did too.
And people chuckled in the audience. I mean, because Mark Hamill
can totally pull it.
Can totally do it. And now I know. Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
we'll get to that.
We're doing a visual here.
Yeah. For all you watching our non-videoed podcast. That's like our air quotes. I do air quotes all the time. And I'm like, I'm doing air quotes just so everybody knows. This is where it set people off. I mean, this set people off the rails too, that he would, it's Anakin's lightsaber. It's, it meant so much. It's, and he just, why would he do that? And this, the producer, the writers and the cast they're just shitting all over it because he's tossing our history out the window, which is what most of these movies are telling you is like, you've got to let the old go. Exactly. And there's going to be a new chunk. So Rey is there, Chewie's there, R2-D2 is there.
Right.
And they all pretty much have, like, it takes all three of them to pull him out of his, like, old man funk.
Right. The beautiful moment, R2 showing the old video of Leia.
I even like how he called it out, though. He's like I don't remember what he said, really like, low blow?
It's like dirty pool.
Yeah, there it is, yeah.
But it was like, essentially that. Like, yeah. I mean, but that was a really fantastic moment.
That and Chewie breaking the door down just to scream at him.
Right. Where was the Wilhelm, by the way? Anybody hear the Wilhelm in it?
Usually I pick it too because I tell my wife. My wife hates it.
I'm the same.
That's the Wilhelm.
I know. I do the same thing to my wife. Like, there it is, Wilhelm.
You know what we're talking about?
Nope.
The Wilhelm scream. It's like that scream that you hear in every movie.
All right.
It sounded familiar, and I was like,
it's in Force
Did
Awakens.
you hear it?
I didn't. But I'll listen more closely on the second time.
The entire time I'm watching this next time.
That's all I'm looking for.
152 minutes of this movie, I'm listening for the Wilhelm scream.
But you even got a nice moment with Luke and Chewie, even though it wasn't much. But you had a meaningful look between them there, and the unspoken conversation about Han.
Yeah, that should have. And I didn't pick up on it, but this is from when I listened to someone else talking about it. Him not knowing that Han was dead should have told us a lot of stuff right then and there.
Right.
Because we saw, even when Han died, that Leia even felt it across wherever they were.
It's true.
And we all should have been like,
well, he shut himself down.
We did, but no one, but at that point we didn't know that. So we're like, why does Luke not know? And he has cut himself off from the Force completely, has not tapped in. So that means he's not talking to anybody who's a Force ghost. He's not doing any of that because he's cut himself off from the Force completely. And so they're all trying to recruit Luke to come fight for them. And he's just being crotchety old Luke. I mean, she's sleeping. I love that she's like, I know your daily routine. You don't have a lot going on.
Yeah. That was such a good little
There's
joke
a lot
right
of
there.
nice little bits on that.
Like
it's really good writing.
Like the maintenance crew out there who've been repairing and cleaning
the Jedi nuns, the frog Jedi nuns
down the hill and they like just roll their eyes.
Dude, I lost my shit when they lost that cart when she cut that stone, dude. I was like the theater went. I was like, you motherfucker, like laughing my ass off. That scene to me was fantastic.
I mean, it's a throwaway joke, but I mean, it's a great moment.
Well, speaking of throwaway, so what did you think of the Porgs? And actually, let me ask you another question. Do you know why the porgs were created? I learned this.
I do not.
So the island they're filming on, that island they filmed it on, has a shit ton of puffins.
Ah.
And they're like, it's going to cost us
So then that's the CGI
a lot more to CGI them out. Let's just make them something. So pretty much any far shot you see a bunch of porgs around, that's puffins they've made into porgs.
That makes sense.
And then so you get like Chewie, who is killed and was getting ready to eat one.
Oh my God.
And they're like looking at him all teary-eyed.
The one with the big eyes. Oh my God.
It was like the cat from
from
Shrek or no,
yeah.
is it Shrek?
Yeah, Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots, like giving him the eyes. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. And then so at that point when he realized he's not going to eat him, they're just like, "Oh, you're fresh meat, buddy." So they just fuck with Chewie for the next entirety of the movie.
I love in like one of the scenes where he like moves it, and then like later he's just like, "Bah!" like, knocks it out of the way.
So Rey starts her training with Luke. He finally gives in and starts to minorly train her on certain things.
I don't even know if we can call it training.
Well, it's not all lifting rocks.
There's a lot of lecturing going on.
Yeah, I mean, like, but I mean, if you think about it, like, from any other Star Wars film, especially when you go to Yoda and Luke scene, like, there's legit, like, Force training happening here, like.
Oh, and Yoda, I mean, and it has some of the best dialogue ever during the.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Speeches, not this crude matter. He's got like the beautiful speeches.
But like, I feel like Luke's like training was like subpar at best. Like I feel like he didn't put a whole lot of effort into it. And I mean,
she's spending too much time Skyping with Kylo Ren over space. I mean, they were literally like two teenagers who were like on their computers in the middle of the night Skyping each other, and it was great that after like the first time when they're both like, what the wait, why do I see you here?
You can see me. Yeah.
Then it just got to be like nonchalant where she's like, could you put a shirt on?
Yeah,
like,
I like how she's like, I don't want to do this right now.
He's
do
like,
I?
He's like, no, I'm good.
But she could see him, but he couldn't see her, could he?
I think at a certain point,
I think he could. I didn't think
at some point he could because they go to touch hands,
well,
so he
true.
knew they were there, and like even and it got real weird, like where it was raining, and then
he had the water on his glove. Yeah.
Where was I going with this? I lost it.
The Skyping.
I mean, it was just
training.
No, I don't know, but yeah,
for the training part.
Yeah, no. I was trying to think. I had a Kylo thing. Oh well, by the way, former Marine. He was in the Marine Corps.
He was.
He actually in the same time I was. He came in right after 9/11 as well, and spent 2.5 years in the Corps. He broke his sternum mountain biking, and they were like, nah, we're just medically, you're good. Like we can't use you anymore. And that's when he became an actor. And so I've watched him back when he was on Girls, and he's interesting. His character on Girls is interesting.
Yeah.
But between Force Awakens and now, like the boy's got some acting chops. Like he does. I think this is probably the best.
He's such a weird-looking guy too. He's got a really
weird look. You know who he looks like? If you really break it,
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. If you really break it down, like he has, and it's odd because he has like Keanu's features all slightly skewed.
Yeah.
Like, and it makes him oddly interesting.
Yeah, and he's got a great voice.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. And his fits of anger this movie did not seem nearly as adolescent as they did in Force Awakens. It was a joke. Like even the one where the two stormtroopers were coming down the hallway, like we're not going this way. Like he's losing it right now. This one, like where he destroys his mask because Snoke's like, take that stupid mask off, and he's like, fuck you.
But it makes me look so tough. Yeah,
I look so cool in this. And he smashes it in the elevator. Like that was.
Now, did you ever have a moment like I was telling my wife this later? When you have all this interplay between Kylo and Rey, I was never once going, well, he's going to turn her bad. I never worried about her.
Well, no, because you just know she's like, when you see her and the way they built her character, you just know she's pure.
Right. Well,
like, I don't even think,
but she's such a badass with the Force too. It's like she picks it up like that. So I was like, he's not gonna be able to turn.
I don't even think she's ever gonna be. I don't even think even right now she's even on the light side.
Yeah,
I think she is the.
Are there gray Jedi?
She's like Gandalf. She is in the middle, and she will always be there. She sees enough in Kylo that she thinks she can change him, but she's not bringing him to the light side. She's just like, just don't be a dick.
Right.
Like we can just.
But I think that's what makes her so incorruptible is because she doesn't see it as this black and white thing.
Exactly.
She takes it as, look, bad things happen, good things happen. You have a choice. You always have a choice.
But that was the great conversation, or the great lesson, I think, that Luke teaches her in there. And he says, when he talks about the Force, and he's like, how presumptuous.
Yeah,
Jedi to like think they've got any claim to that. I mean, and I think in a way, like they're laying that out with Rey as well. She's like, yeah, there's no dark, there's no light. There's just people who have forceful ways.
You know, and I like Kylo. I mean, I like Kylo's point of view on it too. He's like, just let it all die.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want to be a dark side. He doesn't want to be a light side. He just wants this shit to end.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and he's like, and if me being, you know, supreme overlord of the fucking space empire makes this shit stop, like, he's okay with that. Like, he's like, if I gotta be a bad dude to end this up and down battle of balance, you know, so be it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he knows, and I think Rey knows in her own way. It's like evolve or die, and I think I think that's part of the takeaway from
this. And I think he's just chosen I got the big army.
He's the pragmatist.
Let's just end it. You know, where Rey's like, we can all grow together. Right. Like, we can all build this. You know,
right. And I'm going to draw a little parallel back to our complaints about the people who are not liking this and just are so set in their ways. Luke loses his mind when she jumps right in the dark hole, like right in the space or the sea anus. The sea anus. And he's like, you didn't even hesitate. You just went the fuck in there. Yeah. Without even and then what she does, and she doesn't really encounter anything but herself there. Her past and her future is really
well. It's consistent with the Force tree from Empire. It's like you're in there to confront your fear, and her fear is she is
where I came from, where I'm going.
She is. Nobody.
No, she's a what am I?
And that's what she finds, and she confronts it and aces it. She's like, okay, I'm not special.
She's like, hold on though. Let me snap a few times and play around with this. Yeah,
that's great. That's so Ryan Johnson. You're like waiting for that's so Ryan Johnson. Filmic masturbation. There's anything wrong with that? It was fantastic. But I'm like, Ryan Johnson. This is Ryan Johnson right here.
Let's see. So her training continues. We get to see, and I believe they're saying the first flashbacks in Star Wars history. They always use Force visions as opposed to flashbacks, but we see the flashbacks to Luke and Ben's differing looks on their encounters, on what happened that broke them apart. Luke and Ben on Kylo. Sorry, I didn't mean to use Ben.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably just need to stick with Kylo.
My bad.
You're gonna, that throw me off.
My bad.
When do we see Ben?
So you see Luke telling the story about, let's see, who told it first?
It's from a certain point of view.
That's a very good Alec Guinness impression.
Thank you.
So you see this one moment in time during the Jedi training camp that he was running that they both see it differently, and it skewed everything everything has come from this moment.
From both people, yeah.
Right. And so Ben
and it was a nice touch we did. That's the scene we saw in Force Awakens too. The vision that Rey had is that
the aftermath.
Did anybody notice in the two?
Don't forget where you were.
The two different tellings of the whole Skywalker and Kylo scene. Like, the first time it's told, Skywalker looks like he's going to the dark, like the way his face is, where the light's pulled down on him. Like, he genuinely looks evil. Mm-hmm. And then the next time it's told, he looks like a scared kid.
Well, because I think the first telling is from Kylo, isn't it? Where he's trying to kill him.
And I think it is.
And then you get Luke's version, which is also not correct. Because he's like, he initially tells her that he didn't do anything. He didn't say he ignited his lightsaber. But we know at the end, the third telling of it, that they were both right. Like, well, Luke wasn't, because he didn't mention he turned his lightsaber on. But all Kylo Ren knew was that he turned over and this guy's over and with the lightsaber. He's like, shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, if that doesn't put you in a sheer panic.
And then his force, but that just pulled the building they were in. Like, you know, shit, that was amazing. But yeah, that was interesting. That was a neat scene. All right, so we move. So after her training kind of ends, and she's leaving. Like, she's done.
And and we also get her backstory in that there is no backstory, right? So
that's not until the
third act.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's not until that's not until the throne room when Kylo tells her that. But her point of leaving is
because her story is very similar to Vader's.
In what way?
It was in the fact that, like, you're sold off your parents didn't give a fuck about you. Like the parallels in there being what do they call them? The traitors.
No, he wasn't sold off. Anakin wasn't sold off. I mean, his
He
mother.
was a slave for
his
a
mother.
while.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
slave,
well, he's
yeah.
born into it, you know.
Okay, right, okay.
You know, but like, there was a lot of parallels there with that, to me, at least, where it was kind of like you're both. Where Vader was like, I wanted to be good and was obviously corrupted, like, and you know he's got this rough story, and like Rey's whole thing is like, where do I come from? What do I do?
Right.
You know, and like, and then she finds out, and it's like you're nothing. So it's all like, to me, that was the point when, like, when Vader realized he was nothing, is when he became bad. To me, when he realized that he's kind of never been here for anything, and now he has someone that is like, give him the old attaboys, you know, like, and I think Rey, like, to me, there was like just this little similarity of like when I watched the prequels of him being in this shithole and no one really giving a fuck about him, and then someone comes along and like tries to build him up, and Rey has now found out that you don't really
See, I didn't pick that.
you don't really come from shit.
Yeah, I was comparing her more to Luke. Like, she's on this desolate planet, doesn't know she's got something until somebody comes and breaks
And when
her.
I think, I think it was probably the way Kylo was
Yeah.
just dropping it on her. Was like, you come from nothing.
I mean, people
you are nothing.
there's
Which is what he fucking told her.
There's speculation that he's lying to her, but I gotta tell you, I mean, I know we're stepping on probably Act 4 at this point. I like that they're doing somebody, because first of all, there's Jedi Knights everywhere, people who have the Force in them. They don't all have to be Skywalker lineage. I like that we've got somebody who's like not part of the clan.
Yeah.
Who's,
No,
like,
that was good.
Really powerful with the Force.
I just, for some reason, made a parallel to Vader with it.
And comes from nothing. I mean, I thought that was a great payoff, actually. Guess what? You're special because you're no one special.
Well, and it's like,
anybody can be awesome with the Force.
Everyone forgot there was a bajillion Jedis in episode 2. I mean, you weren't just a few people. Anybody. I mean, it wasn't just family lines, because especially because you're not supposed to be getting married and having kids. Of course, the Force people who are Force sensitive are all over the place. Yeah. So she decides to leave. You know, very. I mean, there are certain similarities to episode 5. Sorry, I was having to think to Empire, where, you know, she's like, I've done my training. I need to go help my friends. They're in trouble, and I can. But she leaves to go meet with Kylo because she thinks she could turn him to at least their side, not necessarily good, but their side. And that pretty much ends Act 2, which was like an hour and a half into it. I mean, good Lord, I feel like her seeing, you know, the stuff on Octo, which is the name of the planet they're on, for the training, was a long, long time.
Do you like the nice little callback moment too when Luke's standing out there and the twin sons come up there?
Well, we can talk twin sons at the very end. That's one of the weepy parts, really.
Right.
And that was great. I mean, the fact that he chose never mind. That doesn't make any sense. The fact that he chose a planet, he didn't choose a planet. It's one of the original Jedi.
He's looking for the Jedi Temple.
But the fact that it has twin sons,
very fitting.
Tatooine did. So yeah. So Act 3, we're back on the ship with Holdo and Poe, and she reveals her plan. She says, you know, they're looking for large ships. They're not looking for transport. They're not scanning for anything that's small. So we're going to power bound transports, and we're going to make it to this old resistance base from years and years ago. But we can at least hide there and hopefully avoid them while they pass by. And so,
did we skip the whole Yoda scene?
Nope.
No.
That's later.
Act 4.
Yeah, but don't worry, because Frank Oz was at the premiere, so that should have been if you watched the
I gotta tell you, because I follow Frank Oz out of professional obligation, and I didn't even tweak on that, because I was like, well, he's part of the Star Wars family, of course I didn't. And then someone responded, do you think the fact he's at the premiere is a spoiler? And I'm like, I had not thought.
Yeah.
And I hadn't. It didn't even occur. Because I was like, once you're in the family,
but
you're in the family. I get invited to Muppet crap all the time, and I'm, you know, it's like I haven't been in a Muppet movie. But so I didn't actually. Looking back now, I was like, damn it!
But I think stuff like that when you don't catch it is like cool, you know, especially when someone points out and you're like, oh my god, that's right, no way.
Because I should have been like, oh man, that must mean, but I didn't even pick up on it. I'm like, well, he was in all the other movies. Yeah, I'm sure he gets invited.
Yeah, dude, that's just royalty.
I didn't even pick up on it. Yeah. Why wouldn't you invite Frank Oz?
Right. So Poe's mutiny happens, and then we get our Finn and Rose and BB-8 head to Canto Bight.
Okay, and this is all. This to me was so interesting, because this is the first time I think in Star Wars history we've had a plan that never got to completion
and didn't work. Didn't
amount to anything.
And the fact that I think the problem with everyone's, because this is anybody who has any complaints, even folks that love the movie, this is the scene they're like, why? I mean, other than to develop characters, which, you know,
right,
which there was a lot of development of Rose, and Finn got to do something, because really, Finn didn't really do anything in this movie. I mean, it was
Finn was trying to run away the entire time. Yeah, the entire time he was trying to run away.
So we had so Canto Bite is showing us a
horse racing scene, that's
right? And I don't even have the names of the animals pulled up. I don't know, but that's another brand new.
Sure, someone will remind you.
Yeah, someone will remind me on Twitter that what the animals that were racing were called. But we see a side of the universe that they live in that we're not used to seeing. We see the rich. We see the ones that profit off of this never-ending fucking war, to the point of fact, when this whole scene is over, they're on a ship of a dealer that is selling to both sides. He's like, of course I'm going to sell to both of you. It's twice the money. Why would I pick a side? You guys both have green, or whatever color their money is. Something in big giant boxes. That's all you ever see. That's what Han had when he got paid.
That's right.
What,
they pay you
that's
big
what
giant
DJ
boxes.
had when he got paid. You get ammo crates. Yeah.
Gold press platinum.
So the Canto Bite introduces us to some of the kids that run the stables. They introduce us to the rich and powerful. BB-8 gets violated by a little tiny guy with coins.
That's right.
He's throwing coins. I think somebody told me that the mocap for that guy was like Simon Pegg or somebody. Like,
oh really?
Somebody, I don't know if it's Simon Pegg, but like one of the big names, like did the mocap for that little dinky guy.
I thought he looked like the Slimer from Ghostbusters. Like that's what that character made me think of.
I know. And then you had
Mucus from the commercial.
played by none other than why do I think I'm going to pull a name in the middle of this podcast? I never can. But the guy does the Mucus voices the bartender in Deadpool.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm. It's
TJ Miller, whatever his name is?
That's right, TJ Miller, yeah. He's
just lost his show from fucking punching and sexually abusing.
Yeah, we don't talk about pop culture or politics in this show. We would get lost real hard. So let's see, what else we want to talk about Canto Bite? We know that they get arrested. If Finn had just parked somewhere normal, Canto Bite wouldn't have been what it was. It would have been a plan
dude,
that
like,
worked.
what the fuck? He was like, handicap spot. You don't care. Like, geez.
Like, there's spots right there to park. You just stick it on the fucking beach? Are you shit? Of course. On a rich people planet? Oh, man. So, they find the guy who is supposed to... They see him for like a hot second. He was from... Leftovers, I think.
So I couldn't figure out, was that supposed to be the guy?
Oh, is
that the guy they were supposed to be?
DJ was not the guy they were supposed to find.
Are you sure about that? Because I think that guy just had the fucking lapel on.
Yeah,
and like
I thought that was a
because
fake out.
Well, only if they. It would only have been a fake.
And was that Justin Thoreau?
No. Yes, that's who it is.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but if I think if it wasn't supposed to be him, we would have seen like as we were leaving one scene, like a whole row of guys with it on, and we would have been like, "Oh, it's not the right guy."
Gotcha.
DJ's, but
all right.
But I feel like if they needed that code breaker so hard, like he would be more involved. Like I just feel like they saw it, and that it just like I want to say if that scene would have continued, he would have been like, "What the fuck are y'all talking about?" Like you know.
Did you like how they got the? Did you like how it was kind of like a? I mean, her character.
I love that character. Thinking on it now, it did feel a little jammed in, but
like we're gonna bring her back just so
as a broadcast. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how you would have done it otherwise, because I mean, she couldn't obviously be on the ship or anything. But
right.
So I don't see. That's another one I didn't really think about.
Yeah, somebody brought it up that I've read. And I was like, I liked Maz, so it didn't bother me. And I watched it. I was like, should it have bothered me? That they just like kind of crammed her in there, but they had to get the info somewhere. I mean, the fact that she was like in the middle of
some kind of firefight. That
it's probably just foreplay for her. Honestly, it could have just been foreplay. It may not even been a battle. I mean, she's
out collecting another magic box.
Okay, so they escape. They get arrested for illegal parking. They meet Benicio del Toro's stuttering character,
the same character from. Oh God!
Is it Way of the Gun?
No,
he didn't
it's
stutter
the
Way
way
of the
he
Gun.
talked in with.
It wasn't even original. It's something else he's done
No,
already.
it reminded me of his character from God damn it, the one with Kevin Spacey in it, with Kaiser Soze.
Oh, are you talking about the Usual
right.
Suspects?
Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
It's his character from
It
Usual
is.
Suspects.
It was the
that
way
same
he
speech
talked
pattern with
No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's his character from Usual
Like,
Suspects.
why did you? Yeah, yeah. And that was him going. But I'm Benicio del Toro. I'll do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, have you seen me in a Heineken commercial? I'll fucking stutter in that if I want to. I don't give a shit.
I mean, I thought he was awesome in it, but I was
Yeah, no, it's
the
great.
entire time I was like, isn't this?
It took me a minute to realize that it was him.
Oh, really?
Because it was one of those things where like his head was always tilted. He's doing one of these
You were like, that
fucking
looks like Benicio del
yeah. I
Toro.
was like,
But
that
it
kind of
can't be
looks
him.
yeah, it's like looks like him, but why is he? Oh shit, that is him. Okay, got it. All right.
So so he agrees to help them.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of reluctantly, I guess. You never really
They don't agree to let him help them.
right. And they get off of Canto Bight, and that scene ends. After the riding through the horses, the whole destroying the upper class is fun.
Right.
You know, all that good stuff.
Riding
so,
through the casino, through Trump Tower.
right. So let's see. What do I have listed next? Rey arrives to Kylo's ship, and they and I think this is the same time that Rose and Finn and them all arrive as well on the same ship. Are they on the same ship? Are they all on the big ship? They got to be.
Have to be.
I'm assuming,
Yeah.
yeah. Because
And how do they get in
they have
there?
to all get off when it blows up. Yeah.
Right. And how do they even? Well, it doesn't matter. That's not. How do they even like get in there without being caught in the first place?
Shot down.
What are
Right?
you talking? Which group? Which group are
Rey.
you talking about right now?
Well,
Rey
Rey
and
was
Morgan.
allowed by Kylo. He knew she was
that's true.
coming.
Yeah, well,
But the other
Rey
crew-
just went off in a pod, and Kylo knew she was
Oh,
coming.
that's right.
and
That's right.
Yeah,
She got into the pod.
yeah,
Right.
and
Oh,
like
the
Falcon.
yeah,
In the Falcon.
yeah. She
And
just went
then-
off in a pod, and then Kylo was there waiting for her,
That's
and
right.
then
God, see, I forgot that already.
Bernice and
Did he pull the things out of the sleeve when they were trying to get onto the ship?
Yes.
When he, okay.
Well, yeah.
he
So
had some
when
sort
they
of
were
code.
doing it, like, and then you had the guy, which I love this scene where
Who sees the things flicker?
he taps the fucking monitor,
Yeah.
and that
That's right, they
fixes
went
everything.
between-
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Right.
Got
so,
it.
Yeah.
So everyone's on a ship, probably the same ship, we think. And now, so this act ends with the throne room scene, which
badass.
which is one of the two greatest scenes in this movie, the best scene. But I also kind of compare it. Have you ever seen White Christmas? The old White Christmas, Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye.
Oh God, yeah.
Like remember like half of the movie where they break into some sort of like dance number on a big giant set that like makes no sense in the entire
Right.
movie. I was like, this. I have a feel of this. Like it's nothing like it, but it's like we're in this giant room with something that's like just completely off of what everything else you've seen. I thought that was the neat thing because that's our Christmas Eve. We got to watch White Christmas or it's not Christmas. So
Yeah, that was. The throne room's a great scene.
the throne room is fantastic. There's so much happens.
Okay.
Go ahead. I have 18,000 questions about this scene. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Because in this scene, like, Kylo uses the Force. And basically commits an assassination with it.
The badass assassination.
Okay,
Correct.
so here's my question. If the dude sitting in the throne, because I forgot his fucking name.
Snoke.
There we go. Is so powerful that he could basically, like, mind meld people from across the galaxy. How did he not feel that?
Not know that it was happening?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
That's like,
Distracted.
That, along with his backstory, was never told to us.
Did we get any backstory?
No,
that didn't bother me for some reason. But
I think because like there was so much talk for the past 2 years about who he could be, just
we saw that.
or
EU
just tell me
stuff,
he's
too.
like. Because he's not like he's a nobody bad guy.
Right.
He's their
the
current-
bad
he's
guy.
the bad
Well, he's the next guy who just
the
like,
next
filled
guy
the
who
spot.
the next Sith who's filled the spot.
Yeah, filled the spot.
We've been 40 years. There's been plenty of turnover.
Exactly.
It's not a doesn't really.
The Empire's got a lot of resources behind it, so
So it didn't bother you that they
Yeah,
didn't-
but I feel like to get on that throne, man, like, you got to do something, like, real fucked up or real, like...
I mean, are they still going? Are the Sith still going by the rule of two? I mean, that's what they are. I mean,
I thought that was their golden
do you
rule.
Know, explain to me the rule of two. It's like there's only two
Yeah, there's always one master.
and one apprentice in the entire universe, or just in their little.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know because I would say Obi-Wan and Anakin were 1 and 2, and so I don't know.
I don't know, but it was always like
I figured there was always a master and apprentice
And
with
is
a
that-
Jedi regardless.
right, exactly. But is that
But that
bunch
makes
of
me,
different
like,
places or
question,
just
like,
two
how,
Sith?
like, I know it's all a balance thing, right? But if there can be 100,000 Jedis, and...
is there not 100,000 Sith?
Well, there should be to keep the balance.
balance.
Or they're telling you that the dark side is actually that much more powerful.
possibly.
And that's why it takes so many people.
Yeah, but again, the dark side's got all the resources behind it. The dark side's got the Empire. And the
I know,
Empire's got
but
tons of
I'm saying
resources.
if I'm going to be a dark side and I got an empire of basically disposable people,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I also have like at least if two
100,000
Sith
bad
can do
Sith,
this much shit, why wouldn't I at least like bring in like maybe 5, like just a couple more guys?
That's
right?
true. You always see a ton of like Jedi's training. Where are all the Sith training?
Yeah. Like, and
All the
to me,
Sith
that's like,
younglings.
is that kind of like, is that one of those things where it's like the dark side is really that powerful, and it was that meticulous in crafting itself to where it's at that the Jedi are actually behind?
Yeah, but no, not more powerful.
Oh, I knew we could make it the whole time. That's fantastic. So we don't get Snoke's backstory. We get the conversation. Does Snoke, what starts off, he just realizes that she's not going to be, Snoke realizes she's not going to be turned. There's no way she's going to be turned.
Well, he says he's going to kill her right from the get-go.
Snoke does?
Yeah, like
Okay.
when he sucks her in, and then he's basically like, I'm going to destroy the rebels, and then I'm going to kill you.
I mind dumped that entire scene after the fight.
Well, yeah.
I was like, did they talk before this? Because I don't even know.
Yeah, because when he sucks her in and like basically is like, he basically goes, you're done. Like he doesn't even give her an option. Like there's no, hey, you want to come over here and maybe be a bad guy too? He's like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, he wants Kylo to kill her.
Right.
That's what
Yeah,
starts
well,
up.
yeah.
And
He
wants
tells
to-
her that she's going to die. Like
Right.
you're just, thanks for coming.
And so while
Nice knowing you.
Kylo has her, he's like, Snoke is saying, do it, ignite your saber. What does he say what does he say right before Kylo turns it on? Like turns on the one sitting next to him. He
Yeah,
says
I
that
don't remember.
because like what he's saying is like exactly what Kylo's doing, just not the right saber. He's not.
Yeah,
talking about the right-
yeah.
And it
Ignite
was
your saber.
yeah, and so he ignite your saber, and he just cuts him right in half, and
That
it's
was a great scene.
It was great.
And it just kept going. Like then you see the body fall out of the chair. Like
Yeah, when he pulled-
they just kept going. They just kept going back to it. Like, body parts are just falling out of that chair constantly.
And then we get the greatest fight scene in the movie.
Fantastic.
Fantastic fight scene.
And here's what I really liked about it too. It was, this sounds so nerdy, but it was like really well choreographed in the sense you could always tell what was going on. Like that tends to happen. That didn't tend to happen, especially in the prequels. There was always so much going on screen. You were like, I've lost what's going on.
right.
This one, you could always tell what was going on. It was fantastic.
It was a
And
good.
the only thing that confuses me in that whole fight scene, right, is they drop a couple red dudes with sabers like through the chest, and then there's that scene where the guy's like blocking it with his arms, and it's like so.
Well, they have their whatever their staff thing is.
No, but it was just his. It was just his armor on his forearms,
I didn't
like,
catch
and so
that.
to me, I'm like,
I didn't see
but
that.
you just stabbed that guy right through the chest.
Yeah, but why
like,
do stormtroopers wear armor? Their armor didn't deflect shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, to me, like,
Except Phasma's.
like I don't understand when a lightsaber decides that it's not going to cut through something.
yeah.
Because
Or
I've watched
stops
it
it?
cut through stone.
Yeah, she
off
cut
the
through
side of a
stone,
mountain.
yeah, I've
like
never seen
that
that
dude's
before.
arm should have never.
Yeah, I don't know.
Survived.
Maybe he was holding
Maybe it was forceful armor.
the way he was holding. Maybe he was because some of them had like staffs, and some of them had almost like billy clubs, like where you have.
Yeah, I didn't
Well, that's
know- I
true.
didn't-
Maybe
may
there's
have had
that,
him
and then they
down
had
there.
that crazy whip
Oh,
thing
the
going
whip
too.
guy was
Yeah,
cool.
That guy was cool.
Yeah, I didn't notice. I didn't see that part.
yeah. Because I remember going
There is
because it was right after it. Because I was like, oh, they got like because I remember the scene because the dude blocked it. And was like, and I think it was Kylo was like trying to like force it in, and he's kind of like sitting there taking it. And I was like, oh, dude, they got lightsaber blocking armor. Like, that's some bona fide shit. And then, like, 2 seconds later,
Right through
right
it.
through the gut. And I was like, okay, maybe
Well,
they
but,
don't.
but maybe they had armor only here, not on their.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Not on
Like,
their
so I was hoping
intestines.
one of the other nerds at the
Sorry.
table could be like, nah, dude, it was like, it's because of this.
Sorry,
I'm sure someone will know.
My nerd boner was blocking that part of the screen.
There you go, yeah.
I'm sure someone will know.
You're
Someone
like,
will
I
con-
only saw everything to the right of the screen, man.
somebody contact you and say, actually, it was well established. We'll find that out.
That's what they sound like too. It really is.
Yeah, I managed a comic book store at one point too. Ever.
Nice. The part, especially at the beginning of the fight, where they turn back to back and you realize they're going to fight together. It was like
That was awesome.
that was the best.
That was great.
Where you're like, oh shit, they're going to go, and then
Batman and Robin.
The finale of the fight. You can explain it if you like, where she tosses the lightsaber and just he clicks it on for a hot second. That was like where I was just like I wanted to stand
Oh,
up.
yeah,
and
they
start.
came back behind him.
Yeah,
Oh
he
my
caught
God.
it and just turned it on and just
Right through the guy's face.
and like we know like the lightsabers, like the power of them, but why does nobody do that more often? Like just ignite it. Like no one, I don't think in the history of Star Wars anyone's ignited it while it's already within range of what's going to make the sword and what's going to make the end of the light part of it.
Yeah, there were a lot of great, like you were so happy to like see them working together and like throwing the lightsabers back and forth and hey, get the like. So I thought it was great, and that's when I was really hopeful at that point. Too.
Hopeful for
Kylo to like join the club.
And then at the end of that one is when he asks her, just let's tear it all down and just join me and we can rule. It's like you had her until we can rule the galaxy, until that point. Like let's just tear it all down and just be cool. But no, he's like, I'm still gonna rule everything.
Well, that was it. I think.
It's like, she might have been okay. Her, buddy.
Yeah, she might have been okay with let's start over. But it was like with me in charge.
It's like you don't get this, do you? Yeah. Okay, so great scene aside. So let's move on. The Act 4, Poe has done his mutiny. He has the bridge. The door busts open, and through the smoke steps Leia
in her hospital
gown, and cane, and then a nicely placed. I'm not going to call it a phaser. Whatever.
Blaster shot to the chest.
Just a stun shot to the chest.
Was it her blaster from the first Star Wars? That's what I couldn't tell.
It was. I think it had the long
pistol.
It may have been like her.
I didn't know.
Why would you not give her
exactly?
That? You've got to let her use that. So she puts him out of commission just to get Holdo's plan started. Get everybody. So everybody starts evacuating. Everybody gets on their little things. It's working for a little while. They're not catching it. They don't know what's going. They don't see they're going. But to
now
block it.
At this point, do we know that Finn's plan hasn't been carried out, though? Do we know that at this point?
Yeah, because he's sitting there behind. Remember, he posts up behind the chair and pulls the gun out, and he's like, "Oh God, they're not gonna make it." He actually makes a comment like
he's
that.
He's like, "Only hold this until you disable it, and then I can tell her. Then I can relinquish power, and we can just jump out of here."
Yeah, and then he made the comment of like something's wrong or
which
whatever,
is like again like the first time that like the master plan has not gone according to the master plan.
Well, I feel everything that Finn did was just went not according to plan in this whole movie. Like that dude couldn't catch a break. Like, I mean, even the whole like writing the getaway, like they're just. We almost fell off the edge of the cliff. Like, I mean, like the dude was literally almost died like 12 times in the first hour of this movie.
And during the evac, this is where we find out. This is our second shot that they could have. We thought they may have given it to Leia. This is when Holdo says one of us.
Yeah, that's when I thought she was really gonna die. And dude, but I like Leia was like, we've already lost enough. Like she said the comment of like, we already lost enough. Like I'm not staying. You shouldn't either. Like there wasn't a like.
We have an autopilot.
Yeah, there wasn't a like. We've already lost enough. I'll sacrifice myself for the greater good. No, it was like, you're gonna fucking stay behind. Like. That's dumb.
Droid, please. Yeah, so Holdo remains behind. We know she's going to stay on the ship. She's the only one left. During this, Finn and Rose are finishing their plot. BB-8's got the trash can on his head.
Oh, right. That was great.
Making all kinds of fucking noise.
He's making the noise of the little. He made the from the original the little thing. I always thought we were gonna get like a BB-8. BB-9E, is that correct? The black one is called I think my wife told me last night it's called BB-9E. Everybody's calling it BB-Hate, is what they're calling it, which is great. I almost thought we were going to get like a fight between the two of them, because he kept like, what is that? Like, look at, and I was like, he knows it's there. Like,
yeah, you like
how can you not scan through a trash can,
when
bro?
When he spoils the plot, though? Like, you like how what is it called? The BB-9?
Yeah. BB-Hate.
I love how BB-Hate was the first one that rolls out. At the whole tracking thing, like gotcha, bitches. Like I'm like, dude, this little droid just rolled eyes at everybody and called them out on their bullshit, man.
So DJ turns on. So they're almost to complete their awesome giant plan that almost worked, and DJ turns on them. They all get.
Well, they were caught first.
That was a horrible moment. Well, yeah, but they get
We're not to the fast.
They're almost ready to like throw the switch, and then everybody comes. Them off. It's like the heartbreaking moment. They're not going to pull it off.
Right, and DJ. They've told DJ how DJ knows the plan. They know the evac plan. Like this is when the Empire. This is when the
which that took me a minute because I think even now I'm still trying to remember how he knows.
Yeah, how did he know?
I think
Because they do say, "Oh, he told us, and that was true." Unbelievable.
Except,
But I don't know how he
except
knew.
that would be Finn and Rose would have had to tell him.
But how
Were
did
they already
know?
in contact with Poe? Were they talking back and forth?
I wonder
with Poe
if they
anyway?
had. Well, no, because Poe the whole time,
Poe didn't
like
know
he
how they
didn't
were gonna
know.
Poe knew about the evac. That's when he mutinied with the evac. He's like, "We're gonna run." That's when Poe started the mutiny.
Oh.
So that's when because she gave.
Oh, no, okay, no, they must have known because that was why they were going to take that gun out in the first place, right?
Okay, that was
Yeah.
Like we're just running again. We need to.
Well, no, but they were
disable
doing
this.
it. They were doing it to disable it to stop the tracking, so they could just keep going.
God, right.
Like they didn't.
Right,
they didn't
right.
know about the evacuation. They're like, "Yo, we got to stop this beamer so we can all just."
All right, plot hole.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoops.
I'm sure it's explainable. but
I'm
I
sure
don't
you
know.
watch it a second time. It'll be okay. We'll all figure that out. We'll issue
Yeah.
we'll issue a retraction.
We'll all
later
text
on.
each other. Got it.
What's the line from Reservoir Dogs? Great. Now I'm totally fucking tortured.
So, all right. So the evac plan starts to take some. It starts to not work.
By the way, how terrible was it to watch them like picking off the medical transports?
Oh, I know. They blow the larger ships up, leaving the final one, and then they start picking off.
Like all I
You
could,
guys like it was an underserver though.
like all I could think of was just someone there with like tennis balls and like a herd of people and just like ratcheting them off and just going, "Got one, got one."
Right.
Like
God.
yeah,
that
because
was-
they were just lobbing
and-
lobbing those shots out there, man.
because they were all slowing down. The other one, the main cruiser was keeping that pace where they didn't have to. And then, oh man, and then they just started picking off
Picking off all the
transports.
evacs. Yeah, oh my God.
they were just, and it was like
So what did we start with? Like 400,
I don't know.
people,
Yeah.
the number of people for the
and they're down to like 20 now.
Down to
Yeah.
a Millennium Falcon.
A Millennium
full.
Falcon full, and that's
Yeah.
it at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert.
So that's when Holdo waited till almost too long to pull off her.
True. Yeah. Number one, badass move. Number two, so could have done it like 10 minutes earlier.
Exactly.
Like-
as soon as they picked off the first evac, she should have been like, "Let me turn this around."
Yeah,
Right.
and she's like, "Oh, they got one.
Oh, they got another.
Shit, there's 4."
I'm gonna crank this thing into reverse. Yeah, so she goes out beautifully. What a shot! I mean, the shot of that it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
just-
when you get to see like, I'll call them the chemtrails ripping through the ship, you know, and like just.
There was an awful lot of Lightspeed jumping and coming out of Lightspeed in this movie. Like you don't always see that was like you see the ship.
yeah.
Like they didn't always do that.
But
Right. There was a
that
lot of
that was
effects.
really cool. Like I love in space movies when just a giant something materializes.
yeah.
You're like, first of all, you go, that was cool, and then you go, I know how big that ship is because I'm a nerd and I've looked at the scale of other things here on Earth. Oh my God, space is gigantic. Like Jesus, like it's so big.
Yeah.
I just imagine moving something like that. Like it's baffling.
What I want explained to me, my only nitpick with the hyperspace jump is that how that damaged, because it didn't just hit that main ship, like it took out a bunch of ones behind it too. And like, it wasn't like they were in any sort of like line. So it was like, as it hit it, like, I don't know if there was like a cone of debris that just, I don't know.
Maybe it's almost
I
like
would imagine it's like breaking
a
the sound
wave.
barrier
It's
where
like
it creates a wave.
almost like a warp bubble
Yeah.
in Star Trek. Like the warp bubble you open
we
up
know
and
those
so
well.
it's like exploding outwards. Like you're clearing the space in front of you.
But it was just a beautiful shot. It
was very cool.
Something I'd never seen on any sci-fi thing I've ever watched in my life.
Nah, the dude that put that piece to paper should tip his hat because it was fucking cool.
I would like to know what it said in the script, like what the script.
I'd say I would love to know how somebody pitched that. Okay, stay with me on this.
The only way you could have pitched that was with storyboards.
Exactly.
Like
Right.
you had
I've already
you had
rendered
some
it.
badass sketches going. This is what it's gonna look like.
No, I'm going to go to hyperspace with something in front of me, which they have. Hyperspace isn't. What does Han say in the first movie? Hyperspace,
Ain't like Dustin Crop's boy.
Yeah, we've known from the very first movie that hyperspace is no joke. There's always like, and of course it was written for like to build tension in a scene, but they always had to calculate it because you don't want to fly. You can fly through a star if you're not careful. You can fly through a star.
Right. Because remember, Han, even in Force Awakens, like has to like come out of light speed very quickly to avoid detection. So that's why he crash lands on the planet. So that's
Right.
that's when we're starting to get the science of light speed down.
Just to fly a giant freighter through some more. It all led to that, and I'm okay with that. Oh gosh. Okay, so then we have our big scene with the bring back of Captain Phasma, which I love Gwendolyn Christie. We have done our Game of Thrones review. We love her as an actress, and I I was kind of irked with Force Awakens because she wasn't
She didn't
used.
do much.
Phasma wasn't used. You look cool
And she
as
gets
shit.
and she gives up the goods really fast.
Right, yeah.
Like,
She's like,
okay.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Just
they go
here you
knock
go.
on her helmet and they make her. Yeah.
And she's wearing blaster-proof armor, which we find out in this movie.
Right.
Because she takes a shot right to the chest and she's like, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you're badass. You're great.
But I
And I still don't think she's dead.
You know, that's another character I put up there with Boba Fett because it's an awesome character in an awesome costume that immediately had a huge following, and they just dump it.
Right?
Like with Boba Fett, they just throw him into the sand pit. And this one, they're like, okay, she's just died. It's like, I mean, it's like they have this awesome badass character, and they almost don't know what to do with
Do
it.
you think she's dead? I mean,
I don't know how you.
She
get
fell
out of
in.
that.
She
I bet
fell into an
they-
explosion.
They figured out how to get Boba Fett out of the Sarlacc
So-
pit. So you know.
Is that canon? Is that from the book?
I don't think it is. I don't think it's canon now.
Not
It
anymore.
was at one point, but I just we'll find out in the Han Solo movie. I don't know. but I don't see how she gets out of that. I'm sure you could do something very clever with that. But
I
again,
don't
it's
know
just-
if she's got blaster-proof armor. I mean, it's a pretty thick shit. Then I guess she could have just fell through the flame.
Yeah.
yeah, but then the ship blows up too. So it's like
So did
what
the
if she
giant
was,
planet
out
she was
there?
on earlier.
I suppose.
It's only a ship, man. There's a planet that exploded.
Anyway,
She got off of
I
that.
saw a lot of like Boba Fett in this character.
Very
It's just
true.
like awesome character. It looks awesome
And underutilized.
And underutilized. They don't give it a lot of lines, and then it's just like, and you know, like Lucas with Boba Fett got tired of it, and it's just like, just throw him in the pit.
Right.
I think with Phasma, they're like, just
and
dump her in the flame.
and you have Gwendolyn Christie.
Yeah.
I mean, of all the people who like, well, we don't need to give you that many lines. Like, are you shitting me? Like, give her half the movie. Like, I'll watch her. You know what I want to see? And I'm sure we'll get it because we're going to get Star Wars movies for like the next 50 years, so that's fine every year. I want her backstory. I want that movie.
I wouldn't be.
How about
I
Phasma? There's a
well,
Phasma
want a
book
Phasma
out.
movie.
I wouldn't be surprised though if we end up eventually getting like a Boba Fett movie or
There's-
a Phasma
We're
movie.
gonna get
in
a Boba Fett
production?
movie,
Is it in
guarantee
pre-production?
I don't know, but they've talked about
They've
it.
But that's what I'm
about
saying. Like the other main characters that are kind of like, as you said, like super fucking cool, but they don't know what to do with them. It's almost like, well, they need their own movie.
Well, there's an entire
You
chunk
know.
between him holding his dad's head till falling in the Sarlacc pit that we need to see.
Right.
I mean, holding his dad's head as a boy to like working for Jabba. There's
Right. Yeah.
30 years of stories to tell. That
Was
there's-
this the Bible?
Why
We're
would
just-
you
we're
not,
just skipping
if you're
18
gonna do a Han
years.
Solo movie?
But I
might
want
as
to
well.
know what Gwendolyn Christie feels about it, because like, did you see her when she was sitting up at up on stage 3 years ago interviewing people for The Force Awakens? Everybody comes out, she's like, woo! Like she's the biggest Star Wars
Fan.
nerd fan. Like she's so much fun.
That's awesome.
So I'm sure she was so psyched to be in it, but I would have been like, can I have a cooler death than that? I mean, it was okay. But
Yeah, like what the hell hit her in the head? I mean, if her armor's blaster proof, because that crushed.
Somebody clocked her.
But
Well,
you did.
no,
but
Finn-
you did get to see like the broken.
Yeah,
you
that's
could,
what I'm
see
saying.
Your
Like,
eyes in it at least.
because Finn hit her with one of those
Yeah,
guillotine
dunked her
axes
with-
things
yeah.
that they had, and like that thing just
Donk.
peeled her head off.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know what that thing is.
Is that when he fought that stormtrooper with the lightsaber?
Fought that
that was it.
traitor.
Nice.
That's what they call it.
No, I did. I just as you said it, I was like,
The fans calling that.
So that's it. So Phasma scene, and then so everyone who's left makes it to Crate, which is the salt planet.
Right.
Let's see. So
See,
we're-
look how much stuff is going on. Like I said, that's,
I know.
that's when I turned to my wife. I'm like, there's a lot going on here.
And-
And any minute, I was like, it's going to end now. Okay,
it's
now.
gonna-
Now it's going to end now.
yeah. I wish they would almost took like a snatch approach to it, where it was like a little more separated. So you kind of like you know, there was brief glimpses of Finn's storyline, and then Rey's, and then and then there's a little bit like I almost wish it was like. Your first 30 is this.
Yeah.
Your next 30 is this, and then your
Tell each story
and
separately.
then your interaction at the very end.
Well, that gets to your point about like how long
really
chronologically did this really take? Because like the story of the fleet, they told us at the beginning, like we have this much fuel. So that means what? Rey was on the planet with Luke training for what? 16 hours?
I know. Yeah, I don't. Well, it depends on. But we literally picked up Here's where it gets hinky because we picked up her plot.
Oh, that's right.
After
we went
Force
back.
Awakens.
Right, that's true.
So
That's
they
true.
and they don't really.
But they don't do
make
any.
it a
They don't
point
do a
to-
good job of like
'Cause then
separating that.
Yeah,
that timeline.
you know what the gap is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because well, and then they don't make it a big point, but she was following Luke for weeks and weeks
Yeah.
and weeks.
Well, there was at least 2 mornings that happened when she was
At
on the
least
island.
2, yeah.
Like,
Right.
So-
exactly. So
Right.
her plot, they just didn't make it. They should have just. I mean, They should have just opened with her.
Right, instead of going back.
Instead of because you're right. I just now thought about, oh shit, they jumped back either months or years in time to show her plot and all the stuff that happened, and then at the end of her training and stalking Luke, a little bit of training, Skyping with Kylo, that's when they hit with us. That's when they. I love it. So yeah, that's where that came from. So.
It's another on Crate, and they've got the door locked, and we now found out they're going to bring the Master Blaster.
Old Death Star tech.
Yeah.
They say. That's what Kylo says it is or something. And they bring brand new AT. They're not called AT-ATs anymore. They're something else, but they are like...
Walking the knuckle drag.
Like knuckle drag, like monkeys, like gorilla type stuff, which were just sexy. They were...
Yeah, they look far more intimidating, especially the scene where they're all paused and like they all kind of stop. And I don't know if y'all know it, but they're all tilted like a hot rod. They're all like hunched.
Is there back hunched?
Yeah, like they're all of them are hunched a little bit.
Although it's so, my editor and I talked about this even the George. Isn't it like the dumbest Imperial technology ever though?
Walking,
the gigantic walkers.
Yeah, walk is dumb.
Well, everything the Imperial Army has is fucking stupid. like none of it makes any practical sense. Like, and okay, well, if we're gonna talk about Crate, like, we got the speedsters coming up. I get it. They got a stabilizer that pops out, but hey, man, you're gonna fly on this planet that turns your trails red. Like, so why are we gonna just why are we gonna make the biggest scene we possibly can like coming out?
Because it looks so cool.
It was awesome. That was when my wife was like, "Whoa!" Like,
but I'm saying, but there's always stuff like that where you're like, it just
Well, you can't beat something on wheels. You got to be able to tie something around it so the legs fall over.
The walker's just the dumbest technology.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
We have to be above them to shoot. It's like just shoot them with a tank. It's fine.
If you're gonna tank and you've got the technology, fly. You're gonna fly. Yeah, you don't need.
Well, I love how there's.
Yeah, if you literally make shit hover.
Yeah, it's because if you need a ground assault, it's a tank. Well, you don't need a gigantic walker.
I mean, if you even look at the scene, there's all of the big ones, and then there's that plane just hovering right above it.
Right.
Like it's just sitting back there chilling.
We should just have a bunch of those.
Yeah. Why don't we just have like 6?
Exactly.
Just they would wipe this whole thing out.
And half the time when they fall over, they explode. The AT-ATs just falling over explode.
Yeah. And then you get into the whole like planes don't know how to do attacking strikes, whatever, because they got this like 30-mile long trench, with everyone in it. Like, stop going at them straight, man. Just hit them sideways.
Now I'll tell you, the only point of that trench battle was that general the commander guy walking out of the trench because you saw his footprints.
Right.
Because what I did not notice later on in the next scene is that somebody else's foot don't make prints. And that should have given it away.
Oh!
The whole point of that entire trench shot was to watch him walk, because it's the first time we've seen is white. We're like, oh, we're on a snow planet again. Cool, we've done this before. And then the guy's like, no, it's salt.
Yeah, at first I was like, damn, that guy's bleeding bad. I was like, that guy's bleeding bad. What a badass.
I was like, oh man, that dude's just cool. He's just bleeding down his pant leg, and you realize, oh, so this is gonna look really pretty. It's going from white to red in like no time, and you see his footprints, and I was just like, oh, they're just. And that's not what they did it for. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. Not like everyone who's listening hasn't heard it, but we'll bring it up in a second. So Finn, Rose, a chunk of people
come back. They
grab the speeder,
crash land their ship before the door can land.
What was that?
Remember Finn and they fly in the cruiser, like right as they're shutting.
Oh yeah, dude. They each they both got their hands put up. Stop shooting! Don't shoot!
Crash land the ship in that side, which would normally have taken out the entire remains of the rebellion.
There's only 30 of us. Stop.
Right. And we're gonna crash the ship into the base, but okay.
And that was before they take the old speeders out, or is that how they? Okay.
Yeah, because Finn's in a speeder.
Right. Okay.
Because we think Finn. That's another part. I was actually like, they're gonna kill Finn. It was a moment where I'm actually like, they're gonna kill.
If you had spent the entire movie like building your character arc, would all this work? And now you're going to self-sacrifice. Great, but they didn't build him. Finn didn't get anything. So if they had killed him, we'd all been like, he didn't do shit and they killed you.
Except he was constantly running from everything. So you're like, okay, now he's going to stand for a second. Because he did finally have that sort of eureka moment where he's like, no, it ends here now.
Right. So we expected him to turn first, but he's like, no, I'm not. So I do, yeah.
Right. So I actually thought they were going to kill him, and then I was thinking, a guy that didn't kill the brother. That's like, this is not going to go well. You can't do that. So, but anyway, there was a moment there where I'm like, they're going to kill Finn.
Mm-hmm. And watching it, I was like, I wasn't upset. I was like, okay. I was like, do it, bro. Like, way to go. Good job.
Yeah.
Hit it. Run right in the thing, and Rose knocks him out of the way.
I was like, how is he still alive? Because he's flying into this beam.
How do you perfectly hit him?
That's literally peeling metal away in front of it. And I'm like, do people not know how like heat works? Like they can't just.
And it's a shitty shit.
Yeah, like.
Weirdest how Poe put his foot through the bottom.
It has to be so hot that he would just be like his flesh would just be peeling off of him as he's flying.
Yep, but he's okay, and he is okay at the end. And Rose, I thought they were gonna kill her at that point.
I did too.
And I was like, so she's gonna die. Okay, so the Asian gets it. Sorry, like not the brother, but the Asian's gonna get it. She doesn't.
And a great line: "We don't kill the things we hate; we save the things we love."
Mm-hmm.
Great line.
Very good.
Then drops the old kiss on him.
Right.
Yeah.
Which he kind of was like.
Well, he's that. He doesn't even. Yeah. He had no to do to himself.
Yeah. It was funny because like she kissed him and I don't even think he puckered. He was like.
He's like, why are you? Why are you going rat hole to rat hole? I had to go there. We've all seen Future Man at this table.
But he's a stormtrooper. Like, why would he know any of that?
Not a bit of it. So
know any of that.
So good for Rose.
What is this thing?
Did you
called?
like Rose's character?
I did.
I can't wait to see more of her.
Yeah, I think it's a great character.
I hope they give her more next movie.
A hacker.
I could care less.
Really?
Right. At the end, she did it anyways. They didn't even need to get anybody. She could have done it.
Right.
So, anyways.
But then again, like the whole Finn Rose thing to me is like, so why? Like,
you feel it's forced a little bit?
Yeah, like, well, not like her, falling in love with him or whatever, but it's like.
Well, because in the first movie, you thought it was going to be Finn and Poe.
Yeah.
Seriously. And so now, seriously.
No.
But there's Poe and everybody. Everybody he talks to, you're like, are you going to make it out now? Are you going to make it out now? Even with BB-8, you're like, I mean, I guess.
Oh, yeah, dude, when BB-8 pops out, he's like, oh, buddy, I love you!
Everybody Poe interacts with looks like they want to bang him.
Although, I got to tell you, when I was The Force Awakens, I was like, that's the handsomest man in the galaxy. I was like, Poe's awesome. That's the handsomest man out there.
Han's gone. New heir apparent.
That's right. He can handle it too.
Dude, that guy is no fear whatsoever.
He's great. Okay, so big scene.
Luke appears.
They blow the hole in the door. Luke appears first. Didn't they blow the hole? Because he walks out of the hole, so he must already be. Okay. Luke appears from the back of the cave that there is no way out of.
No one knew there was no because
truthfully, let me just run this by y'all real quick. He could have moved those rocks, walked in, put them back. Yeah,
but he's not really there.
But he could have.
But we didn't know that.
That's what I'm saying. That in C3PO makes a comment of like there's a bunch of uncharted ways out of this place. Right. So like,
and they made a point of showing us his X-wing fighter was still in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you accepted the fact like he could fly there and get there.
Let me tell you how Clay's Last Jedi would have ended. Luke raises his ship. He flies there. He goes in the back of the cave, moves the rocks, goes in, has his heartfelt moment with Leia, gives her the dice, walks out. We already have seen someone from the Force stop a bolt in midair because Kylo Ren did it in the first one. So if Kylo can do that, I can fucking do this. And like I had no problem. Him being a Force projection did not even cross my mind because I'm like, if Kylo can stop a bolt, Luke can stop all of that with the bubble. And
I never questioned that.
I never questioned it at all. And then he does
the badass dust off on his shoulder.
Yeah. He could have, and the scene could have gone that way, and they could have then. He wouldn't have had to die, and he could have still just willed himself to as a Force ghost at the end. He could have gone back. We could have had this long John Williams score, and then he could have gone back to that planet, sat in front of the two moons, and then he could have gone to Tatooine and sat in front of those two suns.
But wait, we skipped a key part. Then we skipped the Jedi wisdom in the tree and Yoda.
How did I not even write that here?
I don't even remember saying it. We totally skipped that.
Oh God, okay.
Because
I was going to bring that point up because
it's right before she leaves. It's at the very beginning, the beginning of the. It's because you know why it's before she leaves? Because the books are on her fucking ship.
Right, she's got it.
Right, which nobody, and I've heard a lot of people do reviews of this so far, and a lot of folks didn't catch that.
Jeez, I can't believe that.
I don't know. I can't. And here's my part.
Because I thought Yoda, when Yoda and Luke have their moment, the temple tree, whatever you want to call it, burns down. When it was burning, to me, it looked like the Rebel Alliance symbol. It's flared up on the top,
Oh,
made
shit,
the flame in the middle.
Go watch. I didn't know.
So I was like, did that flicker?
Yeah,
the way
because
I
Ray
think it
was
flickered?
gone, but
She
she had taken the books before.
Right, before she, yeah.
Okay, I see. I didn't
we
even catch her taking the books.
Well, it's at the very, actually at the
Right,
very
you
end when
wouldn't
they're
have
covering
known.
up.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So we'll go back to this. So does Yoda know they're already gone when he's, because Luke hasn't gone in there apparently because he doesn't know they're gone because he's going there to burn it down, including the text because they're talking about it, and Yoda gets his great line of, they're not really page turners. Like,
yeah.
Right.
So Yoda's always fucked with Luke from like day one he met him. So was him like all of that? I think Yoda already knew they weren't even there. I think Yoda knew because he was like, "I'll light it for you," because he don't want to go in there.
Right.
So he's
Find
like,
out when there.
So he calls in his phone. This is how we do our podcast. We're like, oh shit, we forgot a whole fucking scene.
Well, because that was the moment in the theater when there was the probably the loudest audible gasp in the theater is when you first see Yoda from the back. Like you see Luke walking out, and you see like Yoda's ears in the back. Like that was the moment in the theater you heard everybody go.
And most of that is because you realized it wasn't CGI. And
right.
You're like,
oh my god, I was so happy having a Yoda puppet. I was so excited about that. But I mean,
it actually almost threw me off because I went, he's kind of moving like a robot.
Oh,
and then I was like,
it's like
so great. Like, it gives me chills. It was so great.
Put the time and effort into it. Animatronics.
a lighter Yoda, I'm sure, because in your book, one of Frank
Oz says he was really fucking heavy.
they lightened him for the later movies, yes, or for
They made him out of heavy rubber, and he couldn't move him. He was really fucking heavy.
Great. But, I cannot believe we skipped that part of the scene, but yeah, I don't think Yoda. I don't think Luke.
Yeah, especially since I brought it up like 20 minutes.
Right.
We already
talked about Yoda. We'll get to him.
We'll get to him. Don't worry about it.
Somehow I missed it in the. Thanks
yeah,
for
it's not even in there.
Stupid notes. This never works.
That never works.
So yeah, I don't think Luke knew the books weren't in there. His whole thing of burning it down.
Yeah, well, because
this is the whole point. I am burning down the Jedi literature. I am burning down what has created all this. And during his training with Rey, he does reference to prequels. Like he's like, we fucked up a lot back in the day. Like we, a lot of times we've done hasn't come out that well. So.
Now, did you notice when Rey and Kylo were talking, like she was almost always crying, and there was a tear line that looked like his scar every single time?
I did. Wow.
Oh, you didn't notice that? Every single time.
Yeah, there was one time when she was crying because it goes right across her cheek, and it actually dissipates and picked back up. And I was like, man, that looks like his scar.
Yeah.
And Ryan moved his scar, right?
I didn't know
there's a whole like on the Nerd Rage section because when he first got cut by her, it went over the bridge of his nose, and Ryan's like, that looks like shit. So he moved it to over his eye, and everybody's like, they moved his scar. It's like, is that what you're really complaining about?
Oh my goodness.
I'd be like, well, he also had carbon fiber like fucking for at least 5 minutes, and then he got it all healed up, and now
that was cool.
Another scar. Yeah, like I would have left that shit, dude. I'd been like, nah, man, I look cool as fuck right now.
I look boss in this shit, man. Leave that carbon fiber there.
But the Yoda moment was one of the great moments.
We're sorry that we missed the Yoda moment earlier. Everybody who's been yelling for the past half hour, like, you're not talking about Yoda.
A great conversation. I mean, it was and that was a moment I got very choked up in.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And you can call Force Lightning as a Force Ghost. So there's hope for Luke.
Plus, you get his music behind it and everything. It's just like...
Well, the fact that John Williams came back for this one to do it. I mean, you can't beat a John Williams score. When that man... I mean, he's got to be... How old is John Williams?
He's 80-something.
He's got... And when that man dies, it's going to be a loss to the film industry.
And then, the one time I can't remember what had happened with the Falcon, but then they pulled the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, they always have the little musical cues for everybody to do that so well.
I mean, everything that John Williams has touched is just magic. That man writes gold.
And yet he didn't write it for Rogue One.
Or Force Awakens. No, it was just Rogue One he didn't do it for. Yeah. Okay, so we're back to Luke.
Okay, so we're back to Luke.
Sorry, everybody.
We're all caught up now.
So we get... Luke appears, everybody's like, oh, he's came back and we're all good. And then, Luke and Leia get their moment. And this moment is why I'm glad they didn't kill her off earlier and give her... They're like, you know what, we're going to take whatever issues this is going to cause in the next movie and not reshoot anything to make her die another way that, could have happened earlier in the movie. Because he gives her the dice, which is like... I did not even... I was like, oh, cool, dice, he got off the Millennium Falcon, but I I'm not a big enough fan to know they're the dice from the original Star Wars that
They never made a big deal out of it.
They didn't, but it was always like that. You know, it was
dice hanging in the Falcon. Yeah,
right. So he gives her the dice, and at that point, I think she knows they're not real. Like she knows they're not real, and you know, and they have a great touching moment. And I believe one of the final things he said to her is that, you know, none of us are ever gone, and like that, like him saying that, like I was in the theater, like. But you are, but you're not. I can't. You know, I teared up. Being able for Hamill to say that to Fisher.
Yeah.
I mean, probably means 10 times what it did when he said it to her on set. Like now, him being able to have said that on film and it's captured for time forever is, you can't replicate that. So that's great. It was a great scene. I'm glad he did it. And whatever issues, quote, you know, two dads air quotes, no one can see, whatever issues it caused in the next movie with how they send her on her way, was worth that scene with Luke.
Well, and you can take that lesson with her too. None of us are ever gone. I mean, for the next movie, you can have her impact felt by keeping that philosophy in it. So
absolutely.
So it's a great line to end on with the two of them too.
Right.
Then plus you get to have 3PO saying, "Master Luke," because he always it's always great.
So
he didn't have the red arm.
He didn't. He got fixed up.
Yeah,
he got fixed up good. That's why I was like, why did you even bring that up in the first movie? You don't recognize me just for that joke.
Yeah, I do. Might not recognize because of the red arm. Yeah.
Okay, so they blow the hole in the door, and the only person that exits is Luke, and he walks out, and he's just going to take every single one of them on. We're all watching him, and at this point, he doesn't make red footprints.
Right. Did not
even notice it. Someone mentioned it online somewhere, and I was like, that makes the whole point of why what's his name walked out in the thing in the first place. We all should have known that. So,
and as I was saying before we went on the air, I was convinced that we were going to see Kylo and Luke standing there like two gunslingers, and they were going to end it right there. I was waiting for the fisheye to come in or open up and say. Written directed by Ryan Johnson.
Just leave it at the Oh god!
Yeah,
just wipe it and be done with it. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. I was like, they're going to end it right here, and it's going to piss me off.
So, but it's also going to make me really, really want to go to the next one.
Exactly.
I have to wait how long? Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like don't cliffhang me again. So. Kylo does not choose immediately to go down there. He's like, just point everything at him and shoot.
Unload.
And all of us fans, we watched them unload on him, and we're like, he's fine.
Absolutely. I was never in doubt.
Never in doubt. And I was like, I've seen Kylo stop a bolt, which, by the way, like when that first happened, and like that's the first breath caught that I had in, why am I losing it? Not Rogue One. Force Awakens. Like where he stopped that bolt and like, how is that even?
Plus, they did it so well. Like you could hear it like humming.
Just
even the way they put the effect together was fantastic.
And the fact that he went through that whole scene, talking to him, doing all that shit,
it was like
while still holding
no
it,
effort,
and then got back on his plane and was like, and it was like at the very end, like, pew! You're like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that's why I was like, Luke can stop. Of
course
all that.
he can, right?
And he does the brush his shoulder off, which enraged fans because it's like that's our stuff. You can't do that far, far away from here.
Come on,
like that's great.
Yeah, because no one's ever brushed anything off of their shoulder ever.
Right, and there's also he's if also something I didn't pick up, but I was like, oh, the lighting's better because his beard is darker.
His beard,
but he's literally looks the way he did when Kylo saw him last.
Right,
and he's not old and grizzled and.
Plus, didn't you also think, just as a fan, I was like, wow, Mark Hamill looks fantastic.
You look really good, sir.
He looks great. Like he's in great shape. I mean, forget the beard color. I was just like, Mark Hamill looks great. Good for him.
Way to keep it up, man.
He talked about having it worked out for Force Awakens. He's like, really? I worked out so I could like turn around and lower my cloak, and that was it. Like, you know, he was like, I did all that work for nothing, but it really paid off. He looked fantastic in this one. He was a badass. Big props to Mark Hamill. So Kylo then says, okay, get me down to him. And they bring him down. They face off. Luke does some Matrixy stuff, which was great. Little. He dodged a lot of stuff until Kylo finally lands something. Right, we did have that. He had, and so he does dodge the first few strikes, and you're like, okay, he's just fucking with him. And then Kylo gets one right through him and just goes through him, and you're like, okay, so I watched The Flash, so he can phase through shit. So, like, what's Luke doing? Like, I'm still not anywhere near. I was the same way, too. Like, I'm like, what Force thing is he tapped into now?
Yeah,
like,
I just went, well, he stopped all those fucking...
Yeah, I mean...
I figured it was like that moment...
Bullets coming at him. Maybe he can, like, shift real quick or something.
It's like that moment in Superman 2 when he unveils the ability to disappear in transport power that we've never seen.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the putting back together the Great Wall of China vision.
Or just spinning the world the wrong direction.
Yeah, something like that. I was
the
like,
one where he throws the S at him.
That's a Superman 2.
Yeah, okay.
He's like unload all these weird powers, and I was kind of like, okay, we're unloading some new force power.
Yeah, hey, I'm going with it.
We've got Leia surviving in space.
I'm still crying from him talking to Leia, so just
right.
do whatever you want to me right now, Ryan.
I'm totally distracted. I can't even see the screen straight. It's fine. I don't care what's happening.
Skywalker this time. Yeah.
Oh goodness. Okay, so at this point, once he cuts through him the second time, they flash to him on Octo,
Now
right?
Yep.
And we're like, oh shit, he's not even there. And then it all makes sense enough. So you're like, okay, I'll go with it. I mean, they were Skyping.
He's
so
fucking
this is like
Skywalker. Yeah,
This
he's
is one
Skywalker. I'll accept this.
That's right.
Well, I love when he walked in on them too, like getting ready to touch hands. It was like every dad like walking, like,
Yeah,
why
my
is your
God.
room locked?
Yeah.
There's no locking doors in my house, young lady.
Who are you talking to?
Don't you touch his finger. Okay, so all right. This delay allows what's left of the resistance to escape out the back. They realize that all the crystal foxes are gone, so there's got to be a way out. And they realize the way out is like the crystal fox is squeezing the little fucking hole. Like,
Which is kind of cool.
right, which was very cool. And I liked all of the all the new aliens we got, all the new animals we got to see. Oh, that's always the best.
Well, like this, I mean, even the first thing was to go back, like when they went through the casino,
And it was just the camera panning like right through everything.
Right.
Like you were like, damn, dude, there are a lot of aliens. Like I can just imagine like walking into something like that, and just being. There's fucking things.
But see, that's a big nod to George Lucas because Lucas loved that cantina scene in the That was
he
in
was
draft.
pissed at it because they cut his budget and he couldn't have all
But that
of
was
his.
in draft 1 of Star Wars. Like he loved that whole cantina, and I think his mentality was that it was like, look, it's a huge galaxy. Let's put all these weird, funky people in there.
Yeah.
That's what you would see in a bar.
yeah, because like even when we're still, what was that planet called? The casino planet.
Canto Bite.
Yeah, so like when they're there and all the horses or whatever they are running through the casino, you even get that whole like opera lady like scream, like they're just weird. There was just weird
shit,
wonderful creations through that whole scene. Yeah,
And again, I think that's part of the fun of it. You're like, well, we could just show like all these weird, funky people,
Well,
and we don't have to have a reason for doing it.
And I love that Star Wars has always been a galactic fantasy that says not everybody's humanoid.
Right. And they don't speak English.
Right.
Yes, yeah. And I love how, like, even in the movie, like, other aliens speak their language, and then you get the whole English, not translations, but the response. So you go, oh, I know what they said. When, even when they're talking to droids, and it's just beep, 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 and he's like, well, dude, I can't turn the gas on like that, oh, okay.
Now, isn't it awesome that Rey can understand everybody?
I feel like Poe can too.
Oh, really?
Because remember, there's like that big conversation with Chewbacca where she's like, "Tell Finn this," and then Chewie roars, and she goes, "No, great, tell him that." Like she can understand Chewbacca.
Yeah,
she can understand BB-8. She can understand everybody.
But is that from her upbringing though, where she was? I mean,
it could be, but I think it's cool. Like she's
is it a force? I know
everybody she talks, she can understand.
Yeah,
everybody.
all I could imagine is like, can you imagine growing up like with that many multiple languages like running around you, dude? Like, that'd be.
Immersed. Well, she's immersed in it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that would be so cool, though.
But the other thing I was worried about, so Luke goes over and has this conversation with R2. I was like, how does he know how R2 talks? Because we actually see in Empire when he's flying to Dagobah and R2's beeping at him, it's printing out on the screen in front of him. Like, he has conversations with R2, but he doesn't know what R2's actually saying. And this time, he clearly, now maybe he's learned.
Because in Star Wars, C-3PO is translating for him.
He's actually having a conversation with R2. So maybe there's backstory. He's had a long time to learn.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's been around R2 long enough. He knows,
that was actually something I picked up on. I'm like, oh, he can understand R2 now. Because they do give Luke that great moment with kind of every major character. Like, he has the conversation with R2. He has the one with 3PO. So
they did wrap that up nicely. So I can't see them not throwing money at him and bringing him back as a Force Ghost next movie.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like you're
or
not
for Alec Guinness.
right. Yeah, Alec Guinness. Well, he'll just take points.
Oh my God. I love this quote though. Lovely bread. That was he wanted the money. The lovely bread.
Why not?
Lovely bread.
So the escape turns out that Luke had told Rey earlier in the training, it's all about lifting rocks, but really at the end of it, it was
all about
just
lifting
rocks,
which was awesome.
She moves them all,
but not just like Luke, like barely stacking and making the little snowman, like.
Oh yeah, like so first she lifts them up, and everyone's like looking at them, and then as they start to move through, she starts moving them individually out of their way, and and then lets them all go down. Like, yeah, it wasn't like she was like, and then moved the whole thing. She moved them up, separated them, and then people started to walk through them, and she's like, oh, well, here, let me get this stone out of your way a little bit more.
Yeah, so easily, for sure. That's when you're like, this is some serious shit. Yeah, I mean, like, Rey's not messing around.
Right. So the movie wraps up a little bit with what's left of the Resistance fits in the Millennium Falcon. They had do you know where they were going? I don't remember what they said they were going, but they're out. They're like,
are they heading to the outer rim? Like, we did have the little bit about like the stress signal was received in the outer rim and nobody came, but is it?
Oh yeah, the whole where because they were sending it out and no one So they're
they were saying we're being heard, but no one's responding.
No one's responding.
Yeah, which really puts a downer on their whole thing. But it's
so we know there's a little more people.
But I think that does a good job of getting back to the whole like because
hard scrabble and
like how Luke's like no, this is the day that the rebellion is born again. Like so I think it was cool that no one answers a little bit because now that you think about it, like. They're building this thing up. Like, they're building from scratch. So you're probably right. Like, they'll head to the outer rim and kind of be like, hey, here's what we did, fuckers, while you weren't responding. You guys on our shit now because we lost everyone, literally. Like,
there's nobody else coming. Like, everybody got the ship. That's it.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is like Benicio del Toro. He's like, hey, whoever's winning, that's who I'm with.
Right. Yeah. What a throwaway. I mean, especially, I don't know. He was kind of a throwaway character.
He does, but I think Benicio del Toro at this point in his career only wants to do that.
Get there in your career.
I mean, like if you watch him as like the collector or like anything he's like, I mean, fuck Heineken commercials, man. Like he's just like, I guarantee that when he's in those Heineken commercials, he just walks in and goes, "I'm going to do this." And we're going to talk about that.
Right.
And then like that's how the commercial fucking goes.
Build my set.
Yeah. And then like when he probably is in this movie, he's like,
need an addition to my house.
No, that was cool, but I think it's better if we do it this way. And everyone probably just went.
Ryan's like, sure, whatever.
Yeah, man. Dude, that's cool, man. All right. That works.
So
you do have the nice moment too, which you hadn't realized before when Poe comes up and he's like, hey, you must be Rey. I was like, oh, right.
Yeah.
We've never met before.
Yeah. Well, then you get the weird whole thing with Benicio del Toro's character where he uses the charm.
Yeah.
Rose's charm, and then he gives it back to her.
Right.
And you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome dude. And then he gets a big black box of nothing and fucking dips out.
Yep. So, all right. So, rounding the movie out, the last scene. We're back in the stables, and it's paralleling a little bit of what your generation did after Star Wars first debuted, is telling the story, playing with little things, little toys, and then like the nonchalant force grab of the broom as she's. I mean,
which went by very quickly.
Like, if you weren't looking exactly at that kid's hand, you were like,
"Oh, dude, sorry." Go right. Okay, so in that scene, like I was like,
yeah.
My
wife goes, whoa.
Yeah, there was an autistic boy in the movie that I was in, so he was talking during the whole film, when like calling shit out, and you could tell he was a Star Wars fan because he was like, hey, this is that, and but it was cool because
thanks, dude, because you're helping me out.
No, it was like you could tell that this kid was like,
what planet is this? Thank you.
But when the broom grab, he goes force pull. And like yelled it, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, yeah!" Because I thought I was like the only one that caught it. And he goes force pull, and I was like, funny. "Oh, get it, dude, get it, man!"
Right. So further showing that it's not that the Force is not set to one bloodline; that it could be literally anybody. And
but apparently there's one bloodline that's a little more badass.
Very true.
Until Rey. Because of Rey,
Rey is above anything Skywalker's ever seen.
Because I think even Skywalker makes a comment like,
you're
not.
I haven't seen anything
no one's ever done this before.
Yeah.
For me, yeah.
So the only one I've ever seen like this was Ben Solo, which scared the shit out of me.
Right, but he was expected to be that powerful because of his bloodline.
He was Vader, yeah.
I don't know if I needed, like, I could have gone with just the force pull and the sweep and that'd have been it, but we had to do, like, the Dakota ring and, like, the hold this thing like a lightsaber.
I liked that.
I know what they were going with.
I like the touch holding the saber, because, like you said, we all did that at age 10.
Exactly.
We went out
Yeah.
swinging
But that's cool. That's like,
you're
we're seeing the rebellion being built again.
and that's how it happened.
I know the point of it. I'm just not sure. We know that, I mean, I don't need them to, it's almost hammering at me. Like, I know the rebellion, like, it's cool.
You just hate kids, man.
But it's come directly off the conversation where they're like, you know, what are we going to do? And Leia says, we have exactly what we need. And that is,
we have belief.
They have hope. They have hope. And,
Yeah.
and they've got the legend behind them, which is sometimes enough as well. So, like, that's why you have the kids telling the story.
Right. You don't need more than 20 on the Millennium Falcon.
Right.
That's enough to stir it up again.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially if there's only one Sith.
Right. He's not even really fully convinced.
Yeah, he's not even. He's like,
about
I like black, but I mean, I don't really want to be bad guy.
Yeah, I just want to control everything. Okay, that's the movie.
That is the movie.
Final thoughts? Are you excited about that?
I'm going back. I got to go back again because that's what we're talking through, and I'm like, all right, I didn't notice that.
Right, there's a lot of stuff I have to go look at again. Like, yeah, no, I'll be the kid screaming and saying, "No footprints!"
Yeah.
In case you missed it,
You're welcome.
I'm gonna yell out force pull.
Yes, do it. I high-fived that kid after the movie, man. I was like, awesome, dude. That was great. His dad was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, for what, man? I was like, dude, that kid was killing it.
It's like a living Wikipedia just sits
Yeah,
there.
seriously.
Star Wars
I need the Star Wars encyclopedia.
Yeah, he was like 3 seats from me. And I was like, every so often I'd like look over and like give him a thumbs up. I was like,
well, you know, the Star Wars wiki is called Wookieepedia,
right?
Which is pretty awesome.
I have been on there. I have been on there here and there to look up things.
I hate Wookiees. I don't care. I hate them. Fucking video.
Only because you're playing Battlefield 2 right
Battlefield 2 is ruined them for me.
I suck at Battlefield. I don't even have Battlefield 2. I have Battlefield 1, and I can't get off Hoth. I suck. So, I just suck at it. I can't complete a mission. I'm just terrible. It's like the same reason I can't even play Call of Duty because I end up like shooting all my own men half the time. But
there you go.
But it's like Battlefront. I'm just like, I mean, I've played it probably 6 hours, and I suck. I cannot play it.
Well, Battlefield 2 has a story mode this time, and it's actually a pretty cool story. And it ties in.
Fly the Millennium
In
Falcon.
fact, it tied.
You actually can.
In fact, it tied into the movie, to Last Jedi. The compass he picks up when he's, I don't know if he's filling a bag or something, but in his little hut, he gets that during the mission in the game.
Oh, very good.
And the game picks up right after the second Death Star is destroyed. And it's like the whole like what happened to the Empire when the Emperor died. And it's I've played, I think, probably half of the storyline, and it's fairly engaging. I'd rather I'm like, let me get this so I can get the next cutscene. Okay, let me watch what's going on. Yeah, it's great. So well, we'll wrap it. I'm
playing Far Cry instead because I just suck.
There you go.
So.
Well, the new Far Cry is supposed to be super awesome.
Yeah, I'm playing 3. So
nice.
We good?
We're done. We're all right. We're good.
We'll wrap it here. We want to thank.
We're gonna fish out.
If I could figure out how to get I'm still worried about licensing when it comes to
copyrights and everything.
It's just me saying that won't count.
Oh no! I would love to have a little bit something going at the beginning, at the end, but there's no music, there's no.
My brother just sent me this great thing off Twitter. It was like, everything's better with the George Lucas ending, and it shows this guy walking out of 7-Eleven and tripping over his own feet, and he drops over and he goes shit, and then they fisheye out. It says written and directed by George Lucas. And it's like that makes everything better.
Oh, that's great.
Everything's awesome with that ending on it.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for this podcast. We know it's an extra long one, and we know you all listen to it, and it's worth every bit of it. We didn't go as long as the movie, which is
yeah.
But we came pretty close because we had about 14 minutes. It says 2:30, but we talked for 15.
Well, yeah, I was going to say there's a good 20 minutes of fluff material.
So we did pretty good.
There.
But thank you to everyone who hung on to that entire episode. Don't forget to head over to twodadsreview.com. You can find all of our links to our social media there. Tweet at us. Make sure you follow Brian at
Brian J. Jones
on Twitter and everywhere. He is very active.
Running my mouth. So.
Very active. Very political.
I can't help it.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it, and tune in next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.